Okay, we are recording. And we just did this less than 24 hours ago, Jeremy. Holy shit. As always, I'm Brian Kynes, the creator of the Tales of Ulran campaign setting, storyline, world, all that good stuff. We use D&D 5th edition to play through this. And all the awesome folks you see sitting around me helped me write this storyline at one game at a time. To my side here is the partner of this. It's been this the longest. It's Danny McGuffey. Directly down below Danny, it's Jeremy Keaton, as always. And then down directly below me is Sean Nelson. Okay, just 1 minute here. My air conditioner just kicked on, and it sounds like there's a storm. How loud is that coming across? Faint?
It's fine.
Okay. I'll deal with sweaty pits here in a little bit. I'm going to let it run for a minute. Okay. So, it's been a little break since we were in here last time, and we have several players that won't be able to join us tonight because life happens. So we're going to kind of push forward with the storyline, hopefully get them caught up when they can join in next time. Okay? So, we were just discussing before we started recording what everybody's doing. We know that we're getting ready to go on this big adventure. We're going to the Crescent Cradle in the islands of Tenocia. Okay? Which is almost like a jungle tropical type area. Has three main lands to it. One's based after Mayan, Incan, and an Aztec. Which, after doing some research, existed at different time periods. They kind of were like a stair-stepping civilization. But each one of these particular islands carries with it some form of their ancient history. I'm kind of bringing it into D&D. And we're getting ready to go some dinosaur hunting and bird hunting. And everyone's kind of got together through a lot of DM herding and shit. And we're all going to go on this airship, the Lilung. And we're going there to hunt down this large, like the typical rock, like large avian creature that they call the Quetzalcoatl. That's actually how you pronounce that. It's spelled Quetzalcoatl. No shit. You want to have that the spelling bee, don't you? That just fuck a guy.
That old winged serpent.
That's it, yeah. So, you know, and I know that they've used them in Final Fantasy before. This name's been in different kind of fantasy stuff, but it's actually a very, very old term that means a great feathered serpent. Okay, so we have that now. We're going to hunt this thing, and we just got done with some training, which I had a lot of fun with. We were asked to come up to the Sanctuary of Wrath, and the people that run that, the small goblin master Tenocia, was putting us up against someone that can make multiple clones of himself, which is Yakon Ru, the Yak folk Wujin sorcerer. And he was trying to make us learn how to fight multiple images of something, simulating displacement. He knows that displacer beasts are something that we're more than likely going to run into in the different jungles of the Crescent Cradle. Okay? I thought we did pretty well overall. I mean, I did. It went way better for you guys than I thought it was going to. After that, and we've went through and successfully completed this. What was great, even Caliban proved himself and kind of saved some face in the presence of Tenocia and them, where he wasn't really invited in here before, with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, which probably drove him to do a good job. He came in here and he owned it. He did great. Okay? Having said that, Sean had made the mention that everyone might want to maybe camp out here for the night. So I'm going to just go ahead and go through that Tenocia extends a welcome to us to stay the night there, practice some more if we'd like, at the Sanctuary of Wrath. There's going to be a meal prepared later on, later as soon as the sun goes completely down, a ceremonial type thing, and then we can leave from there in the morning to join with Dahan, with Danny's character, which is safeguarding the airship, as it is having all these new weapons and things added to it there at the airship dock at Big Gun Dabble Duns. Well, John Malkovich is a gnome. Okay? So, with that, we'll do a little bit of fast forwarding here. And if there's any part of this someone wants to dive into a little bit and play out a little bit more, that's perfectly fine. Okay? Now, Jeremy, as far as what we went through last night, which, if you guys, it's only, what, an hour and a half long, Jeremy? If you guys have a chance to just skim through it and look at some of the fun parts of that, God, that was fun. And it was fun to...
that first attack.
Oh, yeah, you know, and just seeing Jeremy's expressions and I'm throwing this crazy shit at him. When you were falling down through there and smacking off those rocks and shit, that was really cool. That was really fun. So, we can say that that happened at any one of those instances where you've been at Vander's kind of to yourself, focusing and kind of like powering down Brahmas. That doesn't exactly have to be a tonight thing, Jeremy. We can make that as something that happened previously. Plenty of room for that. It doesn't fuck a story up, I don't think, at all. Okay? That's the kind of stuff you gotta do when you only have so many people and you gotta keep the story going. So, we're good with it. So, with that, Sean, how do I be sneaky and say this? Does Sade or anybody show up, or are you just here somewhere possibly observing and maybe getting some rest too? Do you plan to join the rest of them here at some point?
Yes.
Okay, so when that happens, and I'm not trying to ignore you, you just need to jump in and say, "Hey, Brian, look, I'm here." Okay? All right.
All I can imagine is just going to be like we're on the airship heading over there, and somebody's going to look off the side and see something clinging to one of the wings.
Yeah. With like a cloak of the bat just hanging on the side of the shit. Looks, is that part of the sail? No, it's Sade up there. It's crazy, huh?
Waiting on the next chance to jump scare us.
Right. Okay, just 1 minute. I gotta turn this down. This thing's driving me crazy. Okay, better. Air conditioners are great, but damn, they get noisy. All right. So, let's go ahead and first jump into Bastille, going down the back alley to talk with Dorbach to find out a couple things. Now, Danny, you know he was there waiting for you. And can you refresh our memories, please, if you'd remember, about the beginning of your conversation and what you think he had planned to say to you here? What was the nature and purpose of the conversation? He was waiting for you outside of Tavasters.
I know he wanted to see what my intentions were and if I was still committed to destroying the Ravens.
Correct. And had you had a chance to reply to that yet?
I told him that I was more committed to the destroying the Ravens than he knew. And actually, there was a point that I wanted to convey to him. You know, the way it would come across is he would be about to say teacher, and then he'd stumble over it and say brother instead.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so let's say this happens, and this is going to be, I don't think it's really fast forward, but we're just going to get to a comfortable place here. Okay? As you wander the alleys with Dorbach for a time, this is the subtle Dorbach. This is the version of him that you appreciate. This isn't the wisecracking, always spinning the webs version of him. You're talking to the actual person, and he gives you glimpses of him that he usually doesn't do, or he doesn't really show that side of himself to too many folks. This is a deep dive into his just being normal here. As you guys are walking around, you may even see some street rat kids jumping out from behind a crate and running along as he tosses a coin to him and tells him on to just take a break for the night. You know what I mean? There's nothing out here really worth picking anyway after the goblin attack. You may see him go by and you guys would see the lights coming from that shed on top of the roofs in Lower Gemdar, and you know there's a poker game going on there. And maybe he would wield some kind of story talking about some things that's happened up there. looking at you, knowing that you've very well been there yourself. He would grin over to you and say, "When's the last time you actually saw Lydia?"
I think the last time actually I rode with her in a portal coming to. Oh, I've seen her a couple times since then.
Yeah, yeah. He says, "Crazy thing. I hate even every time I bring it up is that I get the feeling, just it fucking burns at me a little bit. I know that the last time I've seen her isn't the last time she's seen me." And
Yeah, she is.
I hate it, but I also love it at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure where I stand with her at the moment, honestly.
I don't think
Somewhere
anyone's
in
supposed to. That's what makes her great. It's like, why is it that people go outside the city and chase storms down? They don't know how that son of a bitch is going to twist and who it's going to kill. It's part of the excitement of the whole thing. And I think Lydia is the embodiment of that. I think she's that double-edged sword, and you don't know if you're grabbing the sharp end or the dull one.
He pauses a second and he says, "This is you and me."
It is. As far as I can tell, anyway. He looks around the walls a little bit, just a little bit suspicious.
When I was on that island, we found her father.
He stops dead, biting his own tongue with his mouth half open, not sure what words to choose to address that. He says, because, I mean, he knows that she's a mix. He knows what she looks like. She shares what seem to be avian and Dauntis features, both. Angel and demonic. Okay? And he says, "You're telling me that those two girls have a father that is living and somewhere you have laid eyes on them, and we're sitting here fucking worried about Agenroth, the seed of ravens."
He's involved with them. They're connected.
He's involved with them?
The reason I'm telling you this when it's just us in this alley, as you confirmed, she may be a little off right now. Vengeance is the only thing she has sight of.
Well, then I guess we just need to learn how to steer that. Or get behind it. You have thoughts on this? You got thoughts on this?
I want to learn a little more about him because it actually doesn't make sense that we walked away from it. He says, you know that I'm a little different now.
How different you talking?
Just say I connected.
That was a long pause, Danny.
Yeah.
That was a long pause.
Says I connected with something else, and he fires his eyes so that they flash the runes.
Okay. He goes, "So I guess the question you really have to ask yourself here is, Bast, is, are you working for them now, or are you using them to work for you?"
The bargain was I would continue my path.
A bargain. With a god. Sure, I'll buy that. He looks at you and grins.
You taught me.
I taught you to do what was necessary and make sure you have an exit strategy. It's hard to run out the back door when they're the ones that created the fucking things, Bastille. Be careful how wide eyes you walk in front of. As you guys walk a little bit further, all of a sudden he leads you into a secret passageway in different parts of the city that leads you to that underground section of New Gemdar, the Spider's Web. These are the places where the different shop owners that are loyal to him and different people will usually mingle and conjugate and meet. There's small peasant-like abodes and things down here, and it is more like an underground network of things that he takes you through. You've been here before. Okay? You were down here right before you guys had to fight Tonja. He brought you down here. And as he's going down through there, and he goes, one last thing before we head in here. And he walks you over to a large stone sliding door that seems like it's an ancient part of the city that hasn't been running or anything down here for quite a while. It looks like it used to be either part of a brief mine or a place that was made to make weapons in a hurry for the city. It was never maintained and shut down. He seems to have a stronghold there. And he says, you know I'm the lesser of two evils, right?
Absolutely.
That comes with a cost. And he kind of comes in. He talks over your shoulder, his mouth almost even with your ear, as he tries to stand up, and he holds onto your shirt to pull himself up on his tiptoes. And he goes, and he almost says this poetically. He goes, I don't like this shit any more than you do. But the people in here can't know that. The less you say, the better. He ebbs back down. He goes, besides, although you didn't ask for this, Bastille, this is kind of for you. So he goes down there and he gives a certain knock on the door. It's a weird repetition of several different taps with the back of his knuckles that is almost like he's playing the door like an instrument. It's strange, the pattern and stuff his hands takes as he does this. It's intricate but seems simple at the same time.
Because of his childhood, I just want to make a what would that be? He just wants to see if he can memorize it. It's the OCD with the things he's connected to.
I've got a DC in my head. Why don't you go ahead and do a I don't know, hell, how would you do that, guys? I mean, it's not performance. He's not performing. He's trying to memorize something. Is that intelligence or wisdom?
I would call that wisdom. I think that, like, to recall information.
Well, I would. Oh, he's trying to remember something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, trying to remember a current pattern that's happening.
Would that be insight?
History or insight? Sure.
Let's go with insight, Danny.
Okay, insight. All right, so that is a +6, 18.
18 total?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't reproduce it if you had to.
Do I think I'm close?
Yes.
I almost got it. 3 knocks, 2 knuckles, 1 knock, 2 knuckles. I think I missed one.
When you say this out loud?
Yeah, and he smiles. I'm not as good as you yet.
He says over his shoulder, he says, you forgot to pucker your ass. And he smiles as he says that, and you hear people come over, and the door starts to move sideways into the actual stone wall. And then you see something on the inside, Danny. You see a group of several different people. You also see Oriantha, Lydia's twin sister. Okay? The more innocent, better one of the two.
She was the one that was there when I summoned Raytheon
Yes.
up above my room. Okay.
Yes, soft-spoken, sharp, witty, more passive, an amazing archer. She's a rogue, a ranger of sorts, and looks identical to Lydia without the bitch face. You know what I mean? Not as deadly, has longer hair. And she is standing there pacing back and forth, twirling an arrow between her fingers, and stops and looks at you and gives you a long nod and look with that pale face and those pink rosy eyes deep beneath of it as she pulls the hair up out of her face like this and continues to walk back and forth.
Bass would reach up and take her hand and kiss it and say, "Lady." And he smiles when he does it.
When you do that, I'm going to say right before you go to do that, you notice something. As you start to take in the room, they have a prisoner here. And they are sitting in a chair in the center of the room, and there is another, what seems to be halfling-like person, sitting over on the other side.
He'll pause then and not
And
continue.
I figured as you do, she goes, I don't like this. I'm not my sister. Bastille, I can't do this.
Gets close to her and he says, "Sometimes when you're a light in the darkness, you have to embrace the darkness."
Roll. Yeah.
Persuasion?
Yeah. Roll that.
14 plus 7, 21.
Okay. Very well done. That helps. As you say that, that seems to bolster a bit of confidence to her. And as you say that, she reaches down and you hear the arrow snap between her fingertips. As it does, she sees it drop on the floor and she just kind of sneers at it and walks over to the side of that. As the hooded, small halfling person comes from beside the chair, it's obviously been doing the torturing. Okay? Pulls back the hood and faces you guy. You know the person being tortured and things is blindfolded, tied to the chair, and has been worked over in ways that you do not wish to memorize. And is still breathing. And it is not pretty. You can only imagine why this is. It hasn't been revealed to you yet. And with that, when this other halfling walks up and pulls back the hood, this seems to be the full-on William Dafoe halfling. You've never seen this person, but you would almost recognize this could possibly be a brother or some kind of kin to the spider. And as you take in that, I want you to roll me a charisma saving throw.
Natural 19.
Okay. You're able to hold your composure. Dorbach looks over you and grins. He goes, "What? Sometimes it just makes things a little bit easier. What would you see if I was your darkest fear?" And he grins real big and goes like this in front of your face. And
When he says that, Bass smiles and rolls a ruby out between his fingers.
okay.
Does he know what this is?
As he looks at that and he gives you a finger of pause and he says, "You can take a break for just a little while. I'll take over now." As the other one, that looks like more a William Dafoe version of him, walks over to you, he looks at you and kind of grins with a weird like psychopathic look, and his face goes blank, pulls the hood back down and walks away and walks out of the room. Very strange situation here. You don't know what they're playing at. He goes over and he says, Thieves can't something to you, Danny. He says, "I'm going to reveal your face to this person because I don't believe they're going to live past this room. Are you okay with that?"
Thieves cant's back. Okay.
He says, "This one was sent to kill Rosalia." Everything close to the dreadnought needs to be very careful now. For everyone we intercept, there could be dozens more. The Raven's nest has been stirred. Okay? As he goes over and he goes, with that very polite Eugene Levy voice, the eyebrows goes, do you want to do the honors here? Would you like to introduce us or introduce yourself to our friend?
Oh, I would.
Okay. As you go up and do this, do you pull the thing off? Tell me about how you want to do this. And you can't really make out. This is humanoid to some degree. Seems to be skinny, medium sized, but you can't get many details right now because it has a sack over top of its head, and its hands are bound, and it's sitting in the chair. What is it you're doing, Mr. McGuffey?
I cast darkness over me and him. Because
Boy,
I can
Sean's
see.
loving that shit. Sean's like, yeah, darkness, do it. Go
I didn't
ahead.
want to reveal this right away, and then I cast Devil's Sight so I can see in it. And I take it off. I take his mask off, and I get close to him. And I
Okay.
whisper in his ear, I can see you.
Here's what you're
Came
looking at.
after some-
Here's what you're looking at. Okay. Roll a history check.
20 total.
Okay. This person with a 20 looks vaguely familiar. As if maybe you saw them on an airship race, but you can't quite place which one you saw this person on. Because the version of them you're looking at now, they have face paint on to disguise their appearance, to make them more look like they have dark black on their cheeks and red scraped across the top of their cheeks and a white symbol painted on top of their head. But tears and cuts and things on the face have kind of made it all melt off a little bit. Almost looks like the Joker in the new movies when he's having a real bad day. Has that kind of appearance to it. And it is, this seems to be a half-elf. Or no, a veiled elf, not so unsimilar to you. Is actually pretty close to your appearance and size and things of that nature as well. Okay? From outside the darkness, you hear Dorbach's voice. He was planning to be you. That was his plan. We found something pretty interesting on this clever little devil here. He was going to come take you out. And there's some plant himself with Roselia. This was going to be a doppelganger. Are you familiar with doppelgangers, Bastille?
Oh, I am well read.
When you look this thing over, when it looks over at you this time, now the face changes shape one more time, and it shows that blue-hued skin kind of look, and this is a true doppelganger. This is a monster.
I roll a piece of silver out in my hand.
Roll an intimidation check.
Natural 2. What do I got for intimidation? Charisma +7. 9.
The creature looks up at you with the skin tight over the mouth. The bare head almost looks alien, this thing. And it says to you as it opens its mouth, it has this deep guttural voice that says, I'm better at that than you are.
Oh, really?
Oh.
From the city of Ravens. And I roll out that ruby that I took from those eyes that has Phantasma Killer.
Okay. What do you do?
You can die clean and give me what I want.
Die.
Or I guarantee this. I might not know your worst fear, but this does. Just like Tonja when I stuck him through the eye.
Tonja was a fool. A mere attempt at an end. I am the end. It smiles and rests itself almost preparing itself for whatever's going to happen.
I let the darkness fade, and I kick up the. I let the runes dance all over my body, and eyes light up, and the daggers come out, and I'm like, "You don't know what you're playing with."
At that point, you feel a tap on your shoulder. Storbach, I got something for you. Use this instead. He hands a dagger over his shoulder. He says, don't worry, you can still have the light on one of them. But make sure to always keep a hand ready for something like this. And he's being metaphorical here, okay? When he hands this dagger over across to you, this thing looks ancient. It looks more like a dirk, like a pointy, straight, small rapier. It has what looks to be two theater masks, faces on it, that are stretched into strange, sad-looking, eerie faces that seem to make up the pommel of this thing. The blade of itself is darker steel than you're used to, with a trail that goes down the middle of it, and a dark onyx ball on the hilt. There's something very special about this dagger.
For an instant, he thinks about identifying and remembers that obviously when he goes to it, it ends up being arcane blast instead. And he's like, because of his backstory where he lost that.
He whispers in your ear. He says, this is the blade of the betrayer. He whispers this very low in your ear. Do you remember, and I'll say outside the game, do you remember the spell when if something dies, you get to ask it questions as it comes back and reanimates? If you kill something with this dagger, and that's what kills it, that spell's automatically cast and you get to ask the questions. It's called the Blade of the Betrayer. I thought you would like that. That's some devilish shit. I thought of that a few days ago, and he's handing that over top of your shoulder. So this is a double-edged sword, my friend, and you have that moment in your chest. Do you take the life of this thing to get straight answers and bloody your hands again with a holy dagger in one hand and this one in the other? Or do you have another plan? We won't linger on this much longer than this, but I do want to have this moment with you, then we'll decide to move on, okay? It's pretty good shit, and you've deserved to have this played through, Danny, so go ahead.
He rolls that dagger between his hands. He looks at him and he said, you're going to give me the answers one way or another. But if I use this, it's going to be slow. Because I have nothing but time. Because unlike you, I'm not mortal. I'm an elf. Roselia is a passing phase. But you, hunting something of mine.
Do you want to do deception or intimidation here?
Deception or performance.
Performance.
Yeah.
Deception are the same saving throw, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
17 plus 8.
Really?
Yeah. I got a plus 7 to charisma, and then
okay.
I have bonuses.
Even at that high number, you still barely beat him.
Fuck, what a guy.
In this game, what a fella! Now fucking talk, right? But you, God, Danny, what a guy! You should just go by Polar Arm and slap him on the shoulder and be like, "Just fucking with you, buddy." Hey. So, anyway, with that, he yields to that, and you can see a tremor in his right eye and on the right side of his face, as their musculature and stuff is a little bit different than us. Have you guys seen? And raise a hands if you're muted. Have you seen pictures of doppelgangers, what they truly look like in their true form? Okay. And do you know a little bit about how many different people they can take on the appearance of, and how they go about that and shit. They're pretty entertaining. He has this one scared and on the ropes right now at this moment. The thing looks at you and opens up its mouth and has these deep, raspy, rattled words, again, Danny, as it stares at that blade. And it looks between the blade and Dorbach back and forth like a high-stakes tennis match. Only the game is just life here. And it says to you, in that voice, it says, I'm already dead. But slow is slow. I don't know what you did to deserve this wrath that I brought to you. Make no mistake, Elf. This city will fall, and it will be you to blame.
Give me a name. Who sent you, and know that they'll die. That'll be your vengeance.
He smiles, which looks weird. It's alien when he smiles.
From one assassin to another.
He begins to speak, but you don't understand the words. And when he looks at you, there's a calm that comes over him. He starts saying, Adest, Rantid, Ondlai, Vernemer. And as he sits back and starts to say this thing, roll an Arcana check.
28 on that.
With that, he's casting some kind of spell and doing some kind of rite. You're not familiar with this. As that happens, you feel a shoulder, or you feel.
I rub my ring of silence.
Oh, good fucking call. As you do that, the words fail, and all of a sudden he keeps speaking and he stops. Then his eyes get large, and he gets angry and starts saying it like louder and stuff like that, and he starts shaking the chair and stuff like that. Dorbach puts his hand over your shoulder and pulls you back out of the area of that ring and tells you, and he goes, "You're tricky." He goes, "He was trying to kill himself. And he was running up over your shoulder to maybe grab his mouth or grab his tongue, and you were able to stop it, Danny. What are you doing now? He was just trying to off himself of like the D&D version of a cyanide capsule, and you just fucking said, no!" Which was great.
I rolled the dagger over in my hands and put the hilt back to him, and I said, "There's still answers to be had, my friend."
Okay. Do you bring the silence down? What do you do now? Kind of in a weird stalemate here, aren't we?
I hand the dagger to Dorbach, and I say, "There are answers to be had."
Dorbach takes the dagger and goes around behind him, lays his chin on this doppelganger's shoulder sarcastically and smiles at you as if he's cuddling up to a lover. And then you see the dagger come into the side of the throat, and he smiles. And he says, he nods for you to take the ring effect down.
I do.
One word, if I can understand or not. This goes through your throat. Ask him the questions and let's be done with this.
Who sent you?
He says to you, as he looks up to you again, his face changes. You can see the musculature change underneath the shirt as it kind of folds and flips like that for just a minute. And as he does, he looks like that beaten, face-painted elf that he was before. He goes, "It's not a matter of who sent me, but it's a matter of what sent me."
In that pause, I whip a dagger at him and I teleport to it, and I'm nose to nose with him. I said,
Okay.
"Who?"
He goes, "What is always standing behind you, but you can never strike at? What is just beyond your grasp and beyond your vision, and you can never see, nor reach? That is what sent me, Bastille." of no Jill. That is what sent me. Okay, what are you doing?
And where does this thing lie? You like to believe it's immortal, but it is nothing. I will tear it to pieces.
You want a place? There is no place it lies. It's all around you. You're a fool. It could even be your love. I know it was once.
And I tore that out of her, and I could tear it out of you.
And we have a lot more ink and a lot more time than you do.
Maybe. I know where it all begins.
Looks at you puzzled for a minute. Where are you going with that, Danny? You're like, I'm not sure, Brian. Just sounded cool.
He's gonna say it. He's gonna say it, and he's gonna say the beginning in angelic.
Okay.
15 net performance with a +8.
When you say that in angelic, you see something that gives you shivers. All of a sudden, this thing changes and looks like Ignatius. The feathers spread out on the top of the head. And it says light and sounds just like Ignatius sitting there talking to you now. Only beat up and bloodied, just like the doppelganger is. And he goes, "No, I didn't know you'd been practicing on speaking a language. You do that really well. That's impressive. It'll be nice for everyone to know that. Never hurts to do your homework, right, Bast?" I think it was trying to explain to you is that we're all around you. You just haven't been looking hard enough. And it doesn't stop with her either. And I don't think, if I recall correctly, it stops with me either. No, I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
I almost wish you would have succeeded. Because if I had nothing to lose,
Ignatius just looks at you concerned. Yeah.
you have no idea what I can be.
Do any of us really know what we can be and accomplish in life if given the right time? It's very philosophical. Introspective, if you will. I'll have to ponder that. And then all of a sudden the face goes back to that half-elf again, or that elven face again, just grinning sinisterly at you.
So we get 3 questions if we kill him slow with that?
He looks over, and Dorbot gives him a fake kiss on the cheek and says, I think we can get 3. I think we can get 3.
Huh. So we got 1 out of this.
Can I please?
This is your house.
As you say that, the dagger gets pulled sideways deep, and it's not as pretty as you thought it would have been. This thing's skin is thick. Doppelgangers have a thick hide to them. And as he tears through the throat of this thing from left to right, I'm going to say, Danny, just to kind of help you out here, that you know that you would fiercely protect Rosalia. And as much as you'd like to see this thing hurt, you're able to keep it, but this makes you wince a little bit. Okay? And Dorbach stares at the face of this thing into its eyes as if he's putting someone to sleep. He even does some kind of weird, sinister shit where he's going, shh, 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 oh, it's okay, it's okay. Just rest. As the blood is coming out from the cut in the throat, this is a very dark side of him, and you remember the words that he spoke to you on the outside of the door. He's going to have to play that role in here. And you are almost speechless at how well and natural he's able to do this, Danny. You don't know if you could do it that well. But you also know it burns at Dorbach. You've had conversations where you know he grows tired of this role. This would be inherent in it if someone were to take up the mantle of the spider. Okay? After that, she comes over. Oriantha pushes past you and walks over to it, and she goes, I get the first question. And she goes, I'm not asking. Are you saying anything, Bastille, when she does that?
Nods to her.
Okay. With that, you see some other characters that coming out of the kind of woodwork in the background of this dark, dank, kind of makeshift prisoner torture room that we're in here, down here. I'm not saying there's a bunch of tools and shit laying out, but it's not meant for this kind of shit. This place is somewhere where secrets are kept. Okay. As she comes over to the thing and she gets down inside of its face, and she looks a little meaner than usual about this. She goes, what would it take to end this conflict? For a long time, the body sits there for a minute, kind of twitching a little bit, back and forth, moving, and you can't help but look at that wound on the neck as it moves its head around like it's getting ready to speak. And Dorbach sees your unease with this and takes the scarf off of from around his face and his own neck and lays around the neck of this guy. He goes, that's going to be enough of that. You've caused enough trouble. Okay? So you don't have to look at that gaping wound. The doppelganger's response to that question is, first have to see if he knows. It says, I see no foreseeable end. Okay. She's frustrated, and she reaches back her hand like this, and backhands the fuck out of that thing, turning its head sideways like this, as it just slowly kind of rolls around and comes back into focus. Looking. She walks over to the side, and she's holding her mouth and her elbow like this, resting in her hand, and she's just looking against the other side of the wall. And she's grabbed another arrow out and nervously twiddling it with these fingers down here to her side.
A thieves' cant to him. 2 questions left. We can't waste them. And I look to her, and I go close, and I whisper, we need to find the head of the snake. How do we phrase it? And I send the same thing, thieves' cant, to him.
He whispers in the ear, who represents the serpents here? Let's see if he knows. He does know. With that, I need this creature to do a Constitution saving throw. Merc, Jeremy, will you roll me a 1d20 and a 1d8?
Three.
Okay. As it goes to answer, it's almost like the creature starts to seize, Danny. There's something going on here. There's something darker than that. And as it starts to seize and twitch and things before the words leave its mouth, you see all kinds of different inscriptions and things written on this, and almost the same dark ink-like patterns that Raven was drawn on Roselia's arm. And they seem to be flashing in and out of existence as this thing has been scribed from head to fucking toe with defenses for just this very thing. Okay? As that happens, Dorbach looks a little bit panicked. She goes, fuck, we're losing it. Answer! And he starts shaking it from the back and stuff and holds the dagger up to the side of it again. Just at a loss because he doesn't know what else to do. As you see this scrolling, almost like there's a projector scrolling these things around the creature's body.
Answer this and we'll release you from the third question.
That's not a question, and it wouldn't respond to that, not when it's dead like this. And that's a panic thing. I understand why you would say that. It's a panicked moment. It utters out, Solimari, and then passes. Dorbach's eyes are frozen looking at yours.
Champion. The blade singer.
He says, the airship steward, if you will. He looks around, and you see Oriantha drawing out her bow and going to walk out the door, and he goes, wait. Wait. We don't even know if he knows he is a part of this. I mean, did Gleandra know? We're the only ones right now that have this information, and I suggest it stays that way until we decide how to either find out if Solimari knows what's laying on him, or we catch him in the act doing something. I wouldn't even... He goes, and he grins a little bit. I even feel a little dirty for knowing this one, to tell you the truth, Bast. But it makes sense. It makes sense. Okay?
If I was going to infiltrate, I would look very good.
And he does. Okay?
And he looks to Oriantha and he says, a moment, please. And I cast silence over her area.
Okay. Mark down your charges.
Yep, that's 2 for the day.
I know. Okay, go ahead.
He kneels down to Dorbach and he says, I owe you for this. I'm going to give you something, but you need to confirm it and then present it your own way.
He goes, I'm honored. Very sarcastically. What is it you're going to hand him?
I give him Valamar's father's name, because now between me and you, outside of game, you know what Bast is up to. Bast promised that he would not reveal it.
Right. Okay.
But Dorbach, through his own investigation to find proof of it, will reveal it, and Bast can... He's playing the web the way he was taught.
Okay, yeah, I like that. That's interesting, buddy. Okay, write a note down that you told him that in case I forgot, because I've got to think that. Holy shit, that's interesting, bud. I have to redo some things there. Okay, so with that, so we can move this forward a little bit, here's the next thing I think we should do. Just one moment. Yes? Hi. Okay. So,
because those fuckers may not have realized, but they told Bast that he promised he would not tell Valimar. He didn't say shit about Dorbach.
True. Okay. Okay, that works then. All right. He says for you, he goes, and keep the dagger. I have a feeling you'll have some people you'll want to ask some questions of before this is all over. It may not be around to babysit you when those people appear.
He starts to say teacher again, and he says, I think brother is more appropriate.
Okay. Okay.
If that's okay with you.
He nods. With that, we will go ahead and put a conclusion to that scene there. Okay? So you have your information, you have the dagger, you know that Solimari is an agent of this, whatever it is. Could be the Basilisk side of things, could be the Raven side of things, could be this alternate organization that works against the Scholars of Dawn. They haven't even actually been named to you yet, have they, Danny?
Just,
the words have never been uttered what they actually truly call them.
They were, but I lost them because of the spell when it was whispered in my ear.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, this could be a key. You know something about this now. This isn't like Gleandra, that they knew she was already corrupted by this mark, and people were working to try to free her of it. This is only knowledge that you and a handful of people know now, this is a good opportunity to find out some shit. Keep that under your belt, okay, boss? Okay.
And being that Bass does have his conscience issues, he's going to go ahead and write it in his book to Vander that Valimar will know his father's. He will know his lineage.
Okay. Make sure to take a note of that you've done that. That way when we have this conversation, but you're spinning the web out further by letting more people know. Even Vander.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll scratch that one.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Dorbach
Play
will
your
do.
call. But I'm just saying right now the web is small.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah, what's up?
Can I have those wing sauces?
Yep, just a moment.
And with that, he's going to head to the monastery.
Okay. So, as you're heading to the monastery, I will say that you actually meet up with Drayden just outside there. I'm going to pause this for just a second and take care of something. Then I'll be right back. It's just, I got to go in the other room. Just a minute, okay? And we're back after just a little hiatus there. We'll take our break here in just about another hour or so. Okay, guys? So, with that, you are headed to the monastery where you know this training is going on, Danny. You've had your moment with Dorbach there. You found out some very interesting things. Brahmas, you are there, and Silwyn and Tamara and everyone else is there. And Silwyn goes up to Yakon after the battle, and she stands up and very cheerfully and very playfully walks up and looks up at the tall, gargantuan-like beast man and says, "Well, aren't you going to give us a tour?" And Yakon looks down through all the long hair as if he would be looking, now knowing that Yakon is blind, and gives a kind of nods his head. He goes, "Let me go ahead and show you folks the gardens. They're beautiful." Yes, Sean.
Actually, from behind the tree in the shadows,
The cherry blossom tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you hear, "Actually, mon chéri, allow me to give them a tour of the place."
You're my hero, buddy. Okay, so as that happens, Silwyn turns around and she says, "Mon chéri, what? Is that Elven?" And Tamara looks at her sarcastically and goes, "It's no Elven I've ever heard." And she says, "Who is that?" And she doesn't put her hand on her flail, but she takes a step backwards from this shadowy type figure that seems to be walking out from behind one of those cherry trees in the courtyard of where our practice is. Brahmas, you're seeing this go down. Tanima speaks up in that sarcastic, over-the-top accent of David Lopan and says, "Ah, you decided to arrive. I was wondering where you've been. Been a long time." He says, "But that's typical, always showing up after the work is already done. That's fine, whatever you want to do." Looks around and says, so you're giving tours now then? You're a tour guide."
Of course. So as this happens, you seeing this, you see a black furred felidae walking out from behind the tree,
Okay.
dressed in the garb of the monastery.
Okay.
Well,
You guys, go ahead, Sean.
Are we already there too?
I'm going to say Brahmas is.
Okay.
We'll deal with you in a minute. This is happening for everybody else. We'll get you up to speed in just a minute, Danny. Okay, just for theatrics. Go ahead, Sean. What are you saying?
Well, that was quite an impressive show. It seems you folks can handle yourselves. Drayden, you told me so much about them.
Drayden looks
see.
over at you and says, "I figured they could hold their own if they, as long as they just focused and things. It fared better than I thought it would. Proud of these folks, especially
As
the
you
big,
should.
as you should. Go ahead.
Uh,
with that, he says, Master Tanima, I have an errand to run. I believe my friend Bastille will be joining us soon. I'd like to go greet him. He goes, the Bastille, the elephant, yes. Go ahead and bring him inside. I like him. He could come in and join us too. He didn't need the training, of course. Now he's too he's too good for that, of course. But I'm sure you could put him through something later. I have some things to attend to. He says, Yakon! Yakon just kind of turns and looks down at the ground over his shoulder. He says, let this one go ahead and give the tour. You go ahead and prepare the meal for later. Everyone's going to be hungry. It's going to be a long, cold trip tomorrow. We'll feed them good before they go. And Tanima just spins on a heel, turns around, and begins to walk off. Sean, Silowin, and Tamara are standing there, and Silowin is asking to have someone show her around. She goes, and where have you been all this time? This is Silowin speaking.
I've been here the whole time. Did you not see? Oh, well, you could not see with the darkness.
Tamara snaps. That was you.
But of course, it was all part of your training. Oh, but allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ulran, but you may call me Bree for short.
Bree. It's Tamara still. She goes, well, Bree, so since you knew we were here this whole time, and now you're offering to give us a tour of the grounds, I suppose we're okay with this, everyone? She looks back over her shoulder. She's looking at you, Brahmas. Is Brahmas saying anything?
I think Brahmas is just kind of looking on. He doesn't feel any sort of threatening vibe or anything off this person. Like Bree's not trying to come off as intimidating or anything.
Sean?
Nope. Bree is
Nope.
being as polite as possible. She knows how.
Then nope, it is. Brahmas, you don't detect your bullshit
Say-
meter and going off.
She's coming off more polite than anybody else who's come to join the team so far. So I don't think he's going to have much of an issue.
Caliban walks up beside you, Brahmas, and says in that deep, gruff voice, like, I've seen this one before. It trains here. Drayden has been trying to show it, I guess, Field style moves. Haven't seen it in the city, though. But, it belongs here. If it's giving us a tour,
Every
might as well
time,
take it.
every time Caliban says it, Overshot's or Bree's tail twitches ever so slightly.
Of
With
course.
annoyance.
Of course. What do you mean, we people? So with that, this Black Panther Felidae monk creature, and is this male, female? What is the appearance of this? Male?
Female.
Female. Okay. So, interestingly enough, we get a tour of the facility, the basic gardens, the hot springs pools, where Drayden stays, where the feast will be at later this night, and takes you back around through the actual dojos and different rooms of this place, where Tanima is now training several different people. You see, down on your luck, gladiators that have just been stripped down to their essentials and shaved their hair in order to learn how to do certain things. You see half-orcs in here. You see no other Felidae other than Drayden and Bree. There are no other ones here. And it's interesting. This place seems to be truly what it is named. It is a sanctuary of wrath. It is people that need to step outside of the anger and the frustrations of life to better themselves in a place through mental healing, through combat, whatever this place has to offer. and there is a lot of it there. Okay? Just for shits and giggles, Sean, is there anything particularly maybe you've come up with in your head that you'd like to show off to them just on a whim? I'm not asking you to DM, but if you want to take the wheels for a minute, you're more than welcome to. Or are you good with the
No,
description?
Bree just gives the general tour of the area. Shows like you said, the place where they train, of course, the dining hall, and eventually the rooms they'll be sleeping in.
Okay. All right. With that, we'll pause that action for just a minute. Bastille, your trip up the stairway. Okay. You probably do a little bit of shadow jumping on your way from place to place, as now the sun has went down, but the sky is still somewhat illuminated. It is not dark, but the process has started. Okay. And when it goes down at this time of year, it starts to get cold at night. You feel yourself pulling that scarf around you tightly, and it's neat when you do that. You feel this new addition of this dagger at your side. I would like for you to do a Constitution saving throw. I know he hates when I give him that.
Natural one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And this is how you feel. You start thinking back to that time that clone, or not that clone, but that necromancer made itself look like Drayden and tried to lie to you. Danny, remember that when we were on the island trying to search for the hero, Tharu? And you can't help but think to yourself, if I'd have had that dagger then, I could have cut that creature and saved us so much trouble. You know what I mean? And then with a 1, you actually think back to some different things that you've went through. If I would have had that dagger, I could have actually slashed and took the life of the harvester and had him reveal to me what the Titan's purpose is for even rising up from the Bay of Hope to begin with. This thing could open up and unlock so many answers for me. And you can't help but dwell on that a little bit. With a natural 1, of course. Write down that you're starting to contemplate how this weapon could be used to your advantage. And circle that shit. Okay. So, with that, you ascend the stairway. With that Constitution check of a 1 and this thing doing whatever it's doing to you at the same time, it was not an easy walk, sir. You feel out of shape as fuck. Okay? It's a hike up here, and we've already had this conversation. As you do, Drayden is perched up on one of the side walls, standing there looking at the moon in the sky, with his back to you. As he turns around and he smells, and he looks over to you, and he just kind of looks back up at the moon, and you hear his voice, clearer than usual, because he's been resting it for a while here. Clearer than maybe you've ever heard it before, Bastille. And he says, I've been waiting up here for just a short while, waiting for you to return. Have you conducted your business in the city, and has everything worked out okay?
He smiles and he says, normally I wouldn't reveal so much, but he rolls that dagger and he says, you know what this is?
Looks like another pointy thing. Sarcastically.
But this one, when you stick it in someone, they give you answers. But I had it. And
he looks at you for a long moment.
He tells the story of, if I could have identified that guy that wasn't you. I could have saved us all this if I'd had it before.
He steps down, and he sees, and he says, "Are you all right?" He says, "This is the sanctuary of Wrath, not the birthplace of it. You seem off."
What do you mean? Look what I've got. This is the answer. All we have to do is we stick it in them and they give us the answers.
Hold on for a minute. He looks at it for a long minute, and he looks at you. And he
I
says,
step back from him when he starts looking at me weird. Like, what is your problem? I've got the answer.
he goes, I've never had use of a dagger before. I've always had this. He looks at his hands for a minute, and he says, maybe you could show me how to use that.
Counter persuasions?
Hmm? I get disadvantage on mine.
I got a 8 plus persuasion 7. 15.
I got a 17 with disadvantage. You would slowly hand that thing over, possibly. However you want to role play it, Danny.
He rolls it and he goes, well, the trick is if you hold it. He hands it to him. He says, and if you hold it.
When you hand it over to him, you feel something. A sadness. And you feel drained a bit. And I want you to roll an Arcana check.
27.
You know what happened just now. Drayden wraps it up. And part of in the scarf that he wears around his throat, sometimes, you know what I mean? He says, Tenema and I will look at this later and see if it can be contained maybe a little bit better. Gives you a long, knowing nod.
He scowls and he says, I wonder if he knew.
He goes, he?
Dorbach.
Who do you? And he kind of looks at the ground and he goes, I don't have nothing to say about that. At that moment, he walks and leads you into the place. As you are walking past the main archway and into, you see Tenema teaching many different people. Drayden tells you the story about how everyone did very well in their training for the displacer beasts that are possibly going to be into the jungles of Tenocia. And says to you that shortly the meal will be starting and then we'll be camping out here for the night. Is there anything you wish to do before we make for the airship the next morning?
I'd like to spend a few moments in your garden, and Bast will actually take a moment to go commune with his deity. And
Okay, cool. With that,
worry
Brahmas,
about his actions.
as you are getting escorted around this place by this new Black Panther Philaday called Bree, this female monk character, is there anything you would like to ask her as you're going around this place, or do you have any comments for Silouan or Caliban or anything that you'd want to ask them as you're going around on this little tour?
Seem to know your way around. How long have you been here?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You seem to know your way around here. How
Well,
long have you been here?
yes, I have been training here for quite some time.
What made you take up such an opportunity with us?
I was curious to see what these people that Drayden was talking about. And, well, I did not see someone I thought I was going to see.
An old ally?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Was it an old ally?
Yes, but I guess they had other things to do.
At that point, you guys walk up on a training dummy, one of those wooden ones that have several different pegs that come out of them that can be trained on. Bree, you have been practicing on the dragon's tail move for quite a while. It might be interesting to give a demonstration of that as you walk past this particular thing. Would you like to go ahead and talk them through that and then attempt the move?
No, she'll save it. She'll save it. She'll save it for later.
Okay. Brahmas, as you see her walk past and look at this thing for a long time, almost like a lost lover to a degree, and seems to kind of move her shoulders around and kind of look at the thing for a minute, and she would actually give it a glance like, nah, not now. But you almost feel the group stop as she stops and looks at that thing for a long moment. You see other people in here training on similar devices. This one's holding back, not wanting to show not all of its cards to everybody. Okay? As you guys finish the tour, after about an hour or so, the sun is down. Bastille, you have been brought into the central place there where the battle actually took place, where the training took place. There's the one building on the far side of that. That is Drayden's actually residence. That's where he stays. There have been several different tables, buckets of water with chalices and things that are very humbly and made out of stone. They actually look like they'd be used to crush cornmeal in typically. Different things have been laid out. Different rugs of furs and things of that nature have been laid out on the floor for people to make sure to take their shoes off when they're in this place. And the meal is made fairly well, man. There's some fairly decent things here laid out on this table. As Drayden walks in, this will be the first time that you've all been in the same room. Bastille is accompanying Drayden. As he comes back in, he goes up to your character, Sean, and looks at you for a moment and says, I assume everything went well with the tour in the city?
Yes, they are very well prepared. Shall we continue with this dinner?
Yes, we shall.
Oh, but
Getting the idea that you're wanting to push past some conversation to do this.
Jaden, you might want to get something for that throat of yours. It's kind of creeping me out.
As he grins a little bit, he says, you keep me humble in more than just martial ways. Smiles and gives you a look and gives you a playful punch on the shoulder. And says, I'll be going for quite some time. By the time I get back, you should have been able to properly perform the dragon's tail. Make that your goal.
I will continue working on it.
You're close. You are. I sometimes don't get to tell you all these things typically, but it's going well. And it's going well for me too. You've been an eye-opening student. And as that happens, he goes over and enjoys some of the food that's been laid out before you all. Brahmas, is there anything you like to particularly do while everyone's eating? Are you going and kind of powering down and going into your own little world there for a bit, or are you just kind of hanging out and watching everyone?
I think that he would he'd keep an eye out because this, even though this is a temple,
Yeah.
he would. I feel like he would still be a little bit vigilant on the surroundings.
Okay. Roll a perception check for me.
16.
Okay. You don't notice anything strange, but you almost feel like you're transported to the past when you're in this place. Traditions and the stone stylings of this thing, this whole sanctuary, are very different and very old. The stone lions that are lined up around the outside of the central place where everyone is, these fires that they have burning in their mouths like torches, it reminds you of things that you saw in the past, back when you were alive. This is ancient, old school, traditional kind of stuff. It's nice to know that with the city growing and with all the politics and things that you've seen pass by, in just fleeting moments, that something like this is still here for people that want to worship and enjoy it. It's unique and it makes you feel comfortable. You get this crazy kind of idea that you wonder if there's anything like this inside of Brahmas. If they've ever really designated a spot for yourself in him that would give you the kind of, peace and ease that it gives the people here. You have a place to train inside there, but, you're just now starting to understand that you can kind of create and craft the inside of Brahmas to your liking. And you've started to do that little bits at a time. And when you look at those cherry trees over there, with the light snow falling, you almost ask yourself, it's like, maybe I want to try one of those on. Maybe I want to try to bring something like that. Maybe something that isn't so dark and dismal and reminds me that I'm no longer. It's like the Valkyrie told me. I'm getting stronger. Maybe it's about time I acted like that internally as well. Okay? It's a very inspiring place. During the meal, Danny, is there anything particularly you are wanting to partake in? If not, I'm going to go ahead and get us into the long rest of this afternoon. You're muted, my friend. Turn your ring of silence off. Damn it, Danny.
He's pretty introspective right now after everything that went on, so he's probably keeping to himself.
Okay. And as far as joining in with this, Bree, are you wanting to hang out here and eat with them and then go run your own errands around this place? Is there anything particular you would like to do that I can cater to?
No, Bree is just gonna sit off to the side where she can keep everybody in view and just observe while eating.
Okay. And the last thing I'll bring up at this mention is that Dahan, as the night goes by, I'm going to roll some checks to see how the equipping of the arcane cannons and shit goes on the Lylung, and if you run into anything ridiculous there, okay? Because there is a chance, but not a very big one. Okay, that's fantastic. Alright, so they're able to actually load up things. You give some instruction based on the things that Aeolus has told you about where he wants the ballistas positioned, about where he wants the arcane cannon. And I want you to do a, what would be the check, guys, if you were giving instructions to somebody? Like, being the general or something. What would a check be for something of that nature? What do you guys think? If anything else, Danny, you could just talk me into one you think would be relevant and tell me why. And you can roll a check to see how well you organize the chaos of these gnomes running in and off the Lylung.
I'll say performance, because he's got to perform that duty.
Well, it's giving instruction, so that performance is one. You could learn it that way. You could say insight, in that you have insight as to how it's supposed to be done. So in using that, you can direct.
Well, he has the expertise. It's more like how he conveys it. So
yeah, that works too. So anyway,
okay, go ahead and go with that one then, Danny. Jeremy, do you have any input on that, or you think it works?
17 total.
I think it works.
Okay. Okay, that works. You're able to give adequate, and if not anything else, good instruction on how to position these things. And as they're all getting off the ship, and those small gnomes are asking you things. Remember, there's like 4 or 5 of them, quite a herd of them. The same ones that were on that wagon that got attacked. The ones that Big Gun Dabbledun was kind of being condescending to about a month ago. And the one goes up to you and it slaps that one can on top like it's an old friend. And he whispers something to it, and he's saying it in that high-pitched, gnomish voice. He goes, I really hope to see this back when you guys return. I didn't know if you were gonna... I didn't realize we were just gonna have to give this to you, but then again, it's a small price to pay for our lives, I suppose. That sometimes we get out of control. We don't know how to create the perfect storm, how to aim it, and it's safer in your hands.
Looks to me like the elf paid for it.
Well, no, not nearly as much as he could have. Trust me. This was supposed to. This was the retirement plan. If anything, this arcane cannon, it could have brought dozens of times more than that. This was a labor of love, and I'm glad to see it in good hands. And it's almost like he's trying to reassure himself. He hates to see this thing go.
Do you have more ideas?
Oh, and I've always got... And he stops himself and he looks at you. And he goes, I'm always tinkering around to something.
Maybe you'd want a job working with us.
He looks excited for a minute, but he tries to play it off. With performance check of 5. So... He's like a little kid who saw tits for the first time. He's like, that's nothing. Oh yeah, that's fine. So he is intrigued by that, and he kind of steps in slowly to Dahon. He's looking around where the other ones are at, and he goes, listen, I'm not much for surviving and creatures and monsters and all that nonsense, but you can't find a finer mechanic for something like this than me. Well, Dabbledun, of course, but he's busy. He's running the business.
So you're saying you could have did this if you had the resources?
Well, it's not so much I could have done it or made it from scratch of my own, but I could fix it. I could maintain it on my own. I know I could do that for you? With a question mark on the end as he looks back. This is a strange way of offering up his services.
He says, so you're saying the cooldown time might be a little less if you're on board?
Yeah, and especially if there's someone there to help charge it. A good shipmate or something of that nature. Usually all of these airships have a shipmate, right?
Let me introduce you to somebody, and then we'll work something out. You talk it out with him, and then I'll talk to the captain.
They don't appreciate me. It wouldn't be anything, and to tell you the truth, I don't know them very much. He's just like that. Tell you what I'll do. I'll be here in the morning, and possibly I got some things to pack. I'll just come back in the morning then. Okay? But you think about it. Yeah, just think about it. I'll see you then. And he scampers off as he's holding on to some scrolls and things that are falling out of his arms as he goes across there, and Dahon couldn't help but grin at that. Playing to his ego and things of that nature, he really likes this cannon. And he's been non-stop with the handling of it. And from listening through, he seems to be the one who knows the most about it, other than Dabbledun. Okay? The night pretty much goes by with no problems. But you do find yourself, when you go to bed there, Danny, it's very quiet on the ship. And you don't like that. There might be a little bit of rain that turns into snow every once in a while that hits the portal window to the outside of Dahon. But as you sit there and you always sleep with your arms back behind your head with no blankets on, and always looking around at the different trophies and things you have throughout your one cabin, you find yourself humming one of Oma's songs. And she's not there. And then you look around the room to see how neatly it's been decorated and put up, you know what I mean? From Silowin the other night. And you just can't help thinking, wonder how long it'll be till this is just a mess again like it always is.
He actually gets up and starts to arrange stuff the way he had it.
Okay. As you're doing that, and she did a good job. She rolled a performance check and crushed it when she was straightening your room. I can't remember what it was, but it was good. And as you're moving things around, it's like you're trying to talk yourself out of the fact that you need these creature comforts in your life.
Harley, sit.
You know what I mean? It's nice, and you can't help chuckle, but at the same time,
Sit.
the kind of stuff you're going on tomorrow,
See.
you can't be this soft.
Yeah, he looks around and he's like, "No, that's not me."
Okay. As that happens, you would finally fall asleep at some point. With the other group up there at Tanima's in the Sanctuary of Wrath, I'm going to say that there were places made to sleep in Drayden's. You can choose to sleep inside under the cover or outside. The fires from these lion statues radiate a decent amount of warmth to the outside, which would be decent if you wanted to sleep out underneath the sky. What would everyone like to do? So we know what your character's doing, Sean. Brahmas, where are you wanting to end your night at? Or do you want to get out and take a walk around as Merc? Or whatever you want to do here, bud.
I think that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to kind of post up, kind of close to the entrance. And then he's going to go for a jaunt.
As you do, you know that Yakon stands on guard outside the main gate all the time. For long hours motionless. And it's almost like you do. It's very eerily similar. And as you walk out there and you're looking around and you see him take a deep breath, and the slow vapors come out of his nose and turns into frost in the night sky. And he bows his head down and he says, "Thank you for joining us here at the sanctuary today. You did very well."
I would hope after many lifetimes that I'd have an idea.
Sometimes many lives can be spent learning the wrong way to do things. And it seems you've spent yours wisely. As he says that, he says, "Good night." It's comical. And as he says that, he doesn't move from that spot. I mean, just a statue of a person. And you're almost comical. You almost want to go up in front and go like, but when he says goodnight, the only thing that moves from that moment is the hair on him from the wind. It is crazy. You don't know if he's still watching or hearing or sensing out or not, but you know that he is in deep, deep meditation like that. Okay? So now you're going for your jaunt. Okay.
I think in doing so, he would want to, if he can tell that there's not a lot of people around in the training area, he would probably go out to that training area where the dummies are, if there's nobody else there.
There wouldn't be, not at this late hour. We'll say this is 12 o'clock or so. About 7 or 7:30, 8 o'clock, the sun's going to come up and it's going to be go time. So no, there's no one around there. And as you move around this place, people are gone. It is very quiet. No instruments, just the wind howling through here. There's the sound of wind chimes every once in a while. This place has wind chimes set up in different places of that nature. But that's it. It's soothing and eerie kind of at the same time. You're high up on the side of the mountain. You're not as high as Skywatch, but you're up there. You have your blade at your back. You're walking around quite a bit. And then you hear a voice come out from a side hallway. It sounds like it's walking towards you, getting ready to reveal itself in one of these main rooms. And it is the voice of Tenocia. Okay? And he says, so now we can be introduced. As he steps around the corner and looks out at you, the small goblin-like character has a bow staff behind his back. And he has another one behind his back, and they're making almost like an X pattern. And he steps out and just locks eyes and looks at you. And it is weird for you to be seen like this. And he takes both staffs and he pulls them and turns them and twirls them in a very impressive way for such a small character. It's almost beautiful. It's not warlike at all. It's almost like a Tai Chi type movement of sorts. And as he does, he turns around and does a back kick to one of the handles of it, and the other staff goes flying in your direction. What are you doing? It's coming flat at you, as if someone is throwing you something to grab onto.
Try to catch it.
Go ahead and roll me a dexterity check.
Well,
Okay, just a minute. 1d4. 12 is what you needed. You're able to grab onto this thing, and when you do, you feel your hand grasp it. He goes, that answers the first question. And now he walks
as
around.
he's speaking, he'll see Merc kind of just twisting and turning, and he'll see a smile crack across his face.
He turns towards you, looking down like this. And he takes his staff and points it at you as if he's holding a katana at the waist. He says, let's see what else you can do. Not all kings always have a castle to fall back on. Roll initiative. I didn't plan on this at all. I really didn't. This is just kind of happening.
I did not either.
No shit. Sometimes just funny things happen. And we won't draw this out too long. I don't think so anyway. Here at 8:30 we'll take a break.
Because I can only be out for like a whole...
Yeah. Hey, but you are getting ready to take a long rest, I hope, so we'll see how it happens. Okay, what'd you get on initiative, buddy?
It would have been, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 17.
Okay. By God, you beat him. He rolled a natural 5. You fucker. Okay. So, yeah, Tenocia's coming at you. What you doing with your bow staff? You gonna swing it like a great sword?
Yeah, because that's the motion he's used to.
I know. I know.
He's gonna roll with.
Okay, so let's see what you got, man. Roll it out there. I'll give you a round. Do some shit.
What my bonuses would be for that?
Just treat it like you would your great sword.
Okay. That is a dirty 20 to hit.
A dirty 20. Okay, that misses. But I need to do something here real quick. Okay, it's a 20 was your roll, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With that, it is going to be a punishing counterstrike with a bonus of what you missed by. And that roll ends up being for him 32.
That stings.
Okay, so that hits. Okay, and what he's doing is a disarming strike with this. Okay, so you need to do a strength saving throw versus a DC of 32. If it's not possible, it's not possible.
I don't think it's possible.
Okay, I'm just curious. Roll the D20 and see what you would have got.
That's 15.
Okay, so he takes it and he's able to hurl it in 15 foot in any direction he so chooses. He's picking straight up in the air. So as he disarms this staff from you, as you come in and swing with this punishing counterstrike, sends it straight up into the air. Okay, he is waiting for it to come back down. Would you like to try to recatch the staff, or you want to try some other method of attack? It is still spinning in the air at this moment. We're going to resolve that depending on your next action.
Oh, let me see something here. He is going to bonus action, Misty Step, up in the air to grab
Okay.
the staff, and then he's going to just drop down and swing an attack at him.
That's fantastic, buddy. Okay, so you Misty Step up there. You cast the spell. Now, I want you to do another dexterity check to have the interaction with the staff in the air. Let's just tell me what you rolled. Dex check.
Natural 20.
That's fantastic, buddy. Good job of Misty Step. All right, and as you come down, well, he said it was 15 foot in the air. Let's say it fell a little bit. I'll give you at least 10 foot coming down, which is going to give you an extra 1d6 to your damage as you're descending with this strike. And keep this in mind. This might be something you could do with your greatsword in the future. That would be super handy. Okay? What's your roll on the way down? I'll give you advantage on it because you had the 20 on the catch. And you get your weapon specialization and shit like this too because you have it as a great weapon.
Okay. So that would be a 23.
A 23. That does not hit. But he is going to not simply move out of the way, but he is going to try to absorb that hit with kinetic recoil, as he has 2 reactions on a turn. Okay? Go ahead and roll the damage for what that would have been.
Wait, just using Greatsword stat on it too?
Yep. Oh no, it'd be the 1d6 for the staff plus your bonuses.
That would be 15.
Okay? Okay. He is able to withstand and hold in that energy. As you hit him, you almost feel that shock in your hands as if you've hit something made of solid stone. As he's standing there, and it hits, but it goes off to the side, and you land, and it rattles on the ground for just a moment. Do you have a third attack, or are you done?
No, that's it for this turn.
Do you have any movement, or you wish to use, or anything?
Being right up in his face, I don't think I want to.
Okay. As that happens, he is going to do a touch attack against you, and he is going to simply take his finger and point towards you. Okay?
Okay.
29.
Yes.
Is that breach? Oh yeah, in this form. In this form.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is force damage. So the 15 that he stored from the kinetic recoil, plus what he just did, 28 points of force damage, and it pushes you back 15 foot from that position. Roll dexterity to see if you're prone. And it was bad news, sir.
Oh, that puts me prone.
Okay, so as you fall on the ground, that happens. He is going to go ahead and use his bonus action, the Step of the Wind. It's going to run up right on top of you, and it's going to have a hand extended to help you get back up again without saying a word.
How much
It is
damage
your-
did you say that was?
What's that?
How much damage did you say that was?
I think it was like 27. Force. And he holds his hand out without saying a word to help you back up again.
He'll take the hand.
Okay. As you get back up again, he goes, so you have found ways to use your skills outside of your home. This is impressive. It was that jump thingy you did. He calls it a jump thingy. He goes, I'm going to use that. He goes, but now, try not to get pushed so far this time. And he pulls his hands back again, and he comes at you again with another thrust while he's helped you up again. Roll a strength check versus this.
Go 20 for a 25.
A 25. That does it. As he goes to push you, you only take the 6 points of non-lethal damage from the push, but you're able to actually stand your ground against him. He says, your connection with the material things is adequate, is good. Focus on that. Reach out from your body. Okay? We'll say this goes on for quite a bit, and I want you to go ahead and roll me a wisdom check.
15.
15. Okay, Danny, give me a DC, a 1d20 and a 1d8. Oh God, what is it?
19 at 5, that's 24.
Nope. Okay, so you are in the beginning process of learning how to do he's trying to teach you how to be a pillar of stone. Where he's trying to teach you how to stand against forces being thrown at you and have your connection with material things be stronger, Merc. But it is just too much of a task for you to learn tonight. Okay? As this commences, after you guys twirl around here for another 5 or so minutes, he helps you up one more time, picks you up and things like that. And as he does, he can feel his grip waning on you that you've been out for quite a while. He says, looks like it's time to go home.
This is the furthest I've ever pushed.
Well, then we'll have to push further next time, won't we? Next time. And he's nodding. He's giving you an invitation to come up here so we can help you with things. What do you say?
I think he would skip his typical nod. He would actually give him a bow.
Okay. Nice. As you do, he says, some old ways are always worth remembering. That is one. Respect. He swells up and he says, keep the staff. Bring it with you next time you come. He turns around, spins on his heel, and walks off back into the long hallway that he was before. Okay? So that's your little interaction, your little bit of fun that night. Now we're going to go ahead and take like a 10-minute break or something, go do our thing, and we are going to take over from the next morning, and we are going to go ahead and get on the airship and get out and underway. Okay? During the break, if anyone has anything else they want to work out, just let me know. We can do it. And we will see you all back in a few. All right, we're recording. All right, Jeremy. Now, what kind of shit are you doing?
That's the ring of the bear that I was given at the Dwarven Wake.
Uh-huh.
Going to take that while still in the form of Merc, go through Ramus's pack and get that ring out and put it on. And that is okay. Here it is. Yeah, it's +2 to con. And then I can't remember exactly what I put down compelled duel on ethereal form.
I'm trying to remember. Compelled duel on ethereal form. I'll have to go back and watch one of those episodes and see if I can remember exactly what that was. But it gives your body a boost in healthiness and stuff when you're trying to be outside of the body. That's super handy. Awesome. Your DM's a great guy. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the next morning. Okay? I'm going to start with Dahan and explain to you what's going on there. Early that next morning, Dahan, you are awoken because you end up staying up a little bit later than you had planned on. Just had a hard time falling asleep, so you snuck down into the liquor cabinet where Aeolus keeps some of the good stuff, and you just kind of had a solo night of it where you sit up and had a few drinks until you kind of passed out. The silence was
There's
just
Dawn
too
I
much.
know and love.
Yeah. So you're a little groggy that next morning, and you're woke up by the knock of what you can only imagine is some kind of arquebus or marksman's pistol on the outside of your doorway, and it's Aeolus's voice. Okay? He is there. He has Oma alongside of him. And then Dauntis is also there as well. The three show up and greet you in the room. Aeolus says, I can see everything is set then. Very, very well done, Dahan. I can see you got up bright and early to make sure everything was exactly the way it was supposed to be. Always my star crew member.
He laughs and he says, and I hired another one last night.
And I'm sure that that's coming out of your pocket, although if it were, they can't be much help.
That was not negotiated, and I figured that'd be your area. But he's the gnome that helped build that thing.
Only you could give me work first thing in the morning when you slept in late.
Yes, but you're so good at it, my friend.
I am, aren't I? I am good at it. He said I was good at it. So, with that, Medelia just rolls her eyes like Hermione Woods. God. And she walks over, and Oma looks up to Aeolus and says, Aeolus, I'm going to help her with the enchantments over the ship. It shouldn't take us long. We could do most of it while we're in the air. It shouldn't be a problem. Aeolus, go ahead.
He holds his head and he goes, you guys might want to confer with the gnome. I know the cannon's magical.
She looks at you and she lips the words magical. Okay, we'll see if that creates a problem. Glad to see you back on board, Dahan. She smiles and gives you a nod.
He looks through one eye and he goes, it's always a good morning.
Okay.
And then he takes a swig and he goes, and hangover is tomorrow's problem.
As you say that, she kind of gives you a mom look for just a moment and turns abruptly and turns away. And Aeolus goes, well, if looks could kill. And he smiles at the prospect of her being bent out of shape that you're drinking again. He goes, just keep it loose. I don't know what we're going to run into as we're going off to this, wherever this place possibly is. But,
He takes a swig and he says, I figured that. I figured I got a few hours and then got to straighten up for a bit and be the Dahan you hired.
Well, you certainly will be, I'm sure, he says with a grin, and says, okay, until then, I'll see you on the deck. We're probably going to, I believe, the Sanctuary of Wrath to pick up the enormous crew that we have acquired for this particular journey. And Valdera will be here joining us shortly on the ship. She has came here to meet us.
So did you do well on the negotiations? Are we making out well on this one?
That is up to you and Medelia. Well, the quicker you kill the things that are against us, and the better she helps manage the protection of the ship. If everything goes according to plan, we'll be sitting fancy at the end of this one. turns around and leaves. At that point, you can see that there's several different gnomes pointing out and giving directions. There's like 3 following Aeolus around on the top of the ship, explain different things. Dauntis is in a conversation with one of them about the arcane cannon, as he's talking about what all it's capable of doing shit, and he's being kind of gruff, and he's going, so you're actually meaning to tell me that this thing's actually going to be able to blow shit out of the sky? Is that what we're saying? No, enough of the fancy words and stuff. I need to know, is this thing going to fuck stuff up or not? And as Dauntis and the gnomes are bickering back and forth about this stuff, you can't help but get a kick out of it.
I'm looking for the one that I hired.
As you do that, roll a perception check of disadvantage.
Oh, I got a natural 18 and a 19.
You fuck. What is the total?
Wait till the next one. It'd be all shit, wrong character.
I swear to God, you can't get this guy drunk enough. It's ridiculous.
6. So 18 plus 6 would be 24.
Oh, you see it, you prick. So as you're walking along, you happen to notice there's some kind of invisible field just right in front of your face that seems to be going around Medelia. As you were going up to check on some of the ropes and things that were loose hanging down on one of the sails, and she has some kind of new spell up. And as it is, you stop just before you walk into it face first. And you look at her, she's like disappointed with the fact that she didn't catch you into it. And she walks up and she looks at you. She goes, go ahead and take a swing at me there, lover boy. And she takes her arms and crosses them like this. And she goes, I'd like to see you try it.
Looks at her.
As you pause, she goes, tattoos are stupid.
Yeah. And swinging against the unknown is just as stupid.
Let's hope that everything we run
I'm
into
hungover, not drunk.
as cunning as you are, Dahon. She
He
rolls
takes
her eyes
another
and
swig.
goes,
He takes another swig and he goes, I'm hungover, not drunk.
sometimes I like you better when you are. Anyway, this is something new I've been working on for the trip. I actually do need you to swing at me now. Oh, come on, don't act like you've never wanted to try it.
25.
As you do and you come into contact with this field, I need you to roll it is a Constitution saving throw for Dahon.
This is bullshit because he usually gets good and I rolled a natural 1.
Okay.
That's fucked up. That's Bass's
As
die.
you do, when you hit into this thing, your body is put into slow motion as if a slow spell has been cast upon you, and the force of your blow, it's like punching into dense water. And as the effect ripples throughout this thing, you can see this is like a 20-foot sphere that is around her. And as you do that, she stands back and she goes, that's beautiful. Okay, well, off with whatever pride you have left. I have some other things to attend to. Thanks. She turns around sarcastically and begins marking out some more rooms.
He starts to walk
around
off
the
and he
bar.
says, so you like me drunk, huh? Well, buy me a drink sometime. And he continues on.
Okay. She just kind of looks at you and rolls her eyes and lets out a gasp. Too busy with her incantations right now to meddle in this back and forth between the two of you. With that, the ship picks up from the port there at Big Gun Dabble Duns and makes its way and wraps around the side of the city and lands on a clearing up by the Sanctuary of Wrath. There's a small place there, and it doesn't land all the way down on it, but it stops and hovers above this said place. Several different rope ladders and things fall off of the side, and Aeolus asks you, he says, if you could go ahead and go fetch the group. We have some things we're still trying to tend to. Hopefully they'll recognize us being in the air here and start coming up and getting with us. So if you could, run along and grab them for me, Dahon, would you?
He nods. Takes his flask and jumps off the side.
Well, taking it with you then. I'm sure that'll go over really well with them. Nice. He smiles. With that, you head over the side of the ship with your jug drunk with you, and you're making your way down the rope ladder. Starting to feel your O's again. You're like, yeah, I don't need her songs, and I don't need her comfort. All I need to do is I just need to be me. I just need to be me. I'm at my best. You know what I mean? You don't know if this is, you've had some real somber moments, Dahan, where it's really humbled you and stuff, and you've needed a break from it for a while, to be honest with you. And you're kind of telling yourself that. You know that intuitive, deep person is there inside of you if you need him. But this in here needs to lay back. This isn't exactly your quest. You're just doing your job this time around. It just so happens that you give a shit about the people on the ship, though. This isn't the average run that you're making with just people that paid you some coin. These are your allies and companions. So, you're pulled different ways. As the airship hovers above the Sanctuary of Wrath, you guys would hear light wind chimes pick up even louder as people would start to, and it would probably wake up the majority of you. Brahmas, as you come to standing on the outside, you look over, and Yakon Ru only thing he has done is turned himself 90 degrees towards you and is still standing in the exact same place. You are muted. What were you saying?
Sorry, I missed that. I had the kid talking to me.
Oh, okay. So when you come to, you can hear wind chimes and things inside of Brahmas echoing down the large stairways and hallways of this castle-like dimension inside of Brahmas. They echo and ring on the inside, which kind of snaps you from your... I'll say you fell asleep on a table reading a book about Valkyries. Okay? Inside of Brahmas that night. And you see the bow staff laying there on the table, which is interesting because you didn't bring it in with you. Because you don't know how. But you do have the ring on your finger. Which is interesting. Okay? As you snap to, you stand up and you walk down the stairways and you go to your main chamber where you operate Brahmas from, and you peer out through the three windows, and you see Yakon Ru, which is rotated 90 degrees, looking straight at you in the exact same position he was before almost. The only thing different is that he moved. He shifted on his foot. And as that happens, a hand reaches out, and you see it like you're seeing it on my camera because you're looking through the visor of Brahmas, right? You see his large hairy hand go. Merc. It just says like that. It says, I believe the ship's arrived. It's here for you guys. And the head looks up and you can see the nostrils. He takes a big whiff. And as the wind is blowing back his hair to a degree up here on the mountain, you see those white clouded over eyes as he kind of squints where the light gets into them. What are you doing at this moment, Merc?
He would look up and kind of keep an eye, look at the ship for a minute.
Okay.
Or
you would see
looking back down at him
Dahan.
and nodding.
Mommy.
Okay. You would see Dahan descending down the ladder with a flask over one shoulder, going one arm down this thing, and it's somewhat impressive. You've never got to see Dahan too much on a ship and what he can accomplish, but I mean he's pulling this off like an acrobat, especially with this jug of something. You don't think it's fuel. You don't know what this stuff is, but he's ascending down, and as he does, he has to walk up probably just like a 30 or 40 foot set of stairs that kind of meets the central long stairway that goes down to New Gemdar. From this grassy field over to the side, this small place with ponds where the ship's floating over, there's a side stairway that kind of yields into it. And he comes walking up that real quick. Dahan, what are you saying to Brahmas when you see him?
Megan, that's what he calls you, isn't it, Brahmas?
I think so.
Hey, Megan. You ready for a boat ride?
Okay.
I'm ready to knock the rust off this suit of armor of mine.
It's, things are a little different on the big ship. Aeolus is your god on that ship.
You've been on the Roselia, the small ship, before, Jeremy. You've never been on a big airship like this. I don't think ever. Maybe I don't know if you ever have. Okay.
Well, that sounds like a fair deal to me.
Okay.
His word is law, and let's just leave it at that, friend.
With that,
I don't feel like it would be wise to disobey the captain of the ship when you're that high up in the air.
well put. Sean, where is Sade?
Sade is going to meet everyone on the ship.
Okay. So are you going to, because from here, they're going to practically be leaving from here.
Yeah.
Valdera and Tamara met there while it was docked before and helped loaded up their gear and all the supplies that they needed to take on this for the actual monster hunt itself, for the search.
You just step out of the shadow on the ship and just be there.
Okay. Okay, and you want to do that once everyone gets up on board and you're trying to kind of hide out for now until? Okay,
Yeah.
roll me a stealth check, please.
My character sheet.
Well, I mean, it would be a good idea. We are playing D&D. I'm just throwing it out there.
I know I have a bonus like plus a bajillion to my stealth check. So
That's a high number, sir.
total is 28.
Okay.
Nice.
Annie, I would like for you to do me a 1d 20 and a 1d12 with advantage and tell me what you get.
My a bit. Where's my 12-sided die? Can we do a? There it is. Never mind. All right. That would be a 19 total.
Okay. There are a couple times, Sade, that Oma and Medelia are going around casting some spells on the ship, and they are walking through it and looking over things and going over notes. And you're able to overhear some conversations where you're almost sure they're going to find you, right?
Mhm.
And they're literally like 5-10 foot away from you and overlook you completely. You will see that Medelia has the mending spell that she seems to be able to do quite a bit, and at will, when she's taking care of some parts of the ship. She's talking about some new spells that she's created to keep Aeolus safe when he is on the actual steering wheel. And it makes you a little jealous because on the Dreadnought, you guys never had anything that elaborate. They've really went and pulled all the stops out. And you'll notice Oma always talks about having these spirits here to protect her and things of that nature. And you can't help but admire how much faith she has in those spirits that seem to reside inside her from what you've seen. But she's excited about the ship, and they talk about some new thing that they've got on here, and they can't wait to see how it works. But you're not sure what this new thing is. Okay? You are able to stay concealed until you wish to show yourself. Okay?
Sade will find a moment to jot all these observations down.
Absolutely. And that's why I was giving them to you, boss. Okay? As that's going around, you also have a moment where you're kind of close to Dahan. As he is going around, it's neat to see how responsible he is in 1 minute. And then you'll see him stop and kind of drift off and look for a minute. And you almost think maybe he's heard you or he senses something. It's strange. And then he'll stop and get kind of solemn for a minute. He'll shake his head, take a swig of this flask he has tied to his side, swell up his chest, and then he'll come off and say something sarcastic and walk across the ship again. He is dealing with something. Not quite sure what. But when it comes down to it, Dahan knows this ship very well and makes very good decisions about it. He is in his environment here. Okay? There is one point throughout this where Aeolus is whispering in on a conversation with Dauntis about some things. Would you like to investigate that, or would you like to leave that alone? Look at him. It's like Price is Right. He's got 90 cents, and he doesn't know if he wants to go for the fucking dollar. What are you doing, buddy?
Sade's a little too curious for her own good. Yeah, she's going to try listening.
I like it. I like it. Give me another stealth check plus a bazillion.
That is a natural 20 for a total of 32.
You are a ghost. I'm not even going to roll. You know what? I am going to roll just so you can mock and laugh at me. That's because I believe, okay, I got a natural 6. And that's why I rolled right there. I was giving you the chance to cackle. So, with that, you overhear Aeolus talking to Dauntis. You know who Dauntis is. He's a little steampunk, dwarven, red-haired guy that's the bombardier on the ship. He's the one that died, and Oma did that spell on him where she's able to toll the dead and things of that nature. He's the one that was...
Man, that right there be an artificer for him to actually play.
You know what? That's a good point. Dauntis is in this and established. He's a cool fucking character. But we'll get to that some other time. And he kind of looks like Jeremy, too. They all do, don't they? God damn it. Halloween's already picked out for you, bud. You don't
I
even
got
get
this
shot.
weird resemblance to dwarves. Oh.
I think so. It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, my kids think I've got to go. Apparently, I'm going as Kratos this year.
Did you see that fucking... God, we get it. We see squirrels so bad on this. Did you see that video I put of the guy that plays the video game?
Oh my God!
The God of War.
Awesome.
he's like, come with me to the gas station, boy. Bring your spear. That's so good.
Grab your bow, boy.
That's right. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. But what you overhear these two talking about, Dauntis has got some pyrotechnics that he has been working on in secret for Aeolus only. And what really surprises you is that Aeolus gives him permission that if things get bad and they're not going to make it, Medelia has things in mind to save the priority cargo on the ship. Do what you have to do. And it gives you a bit of a chill, because Aeolus comes across very debonair. Like I say, he is Lucifer from the TV show Lucifer. He comes across very debonair and things like that. But this is a little chilling. This is talking about absolution and things of that nature. He is giving Dauntis permission to destroy part of the ship if it means to save the precious cargo. You would hope that is the people on it. But in the way these two are talking, you're not sure. This is the smuggler side of Aeolus coming out. And it's nice for you to see this. As Dauntis says again, he says to him, and I've got a couple other things for you too. I just, if you shoot him out of that cannon, just make sure you're holding it out from your face a little bit before you do, okay? And he hands him a handful of this ammunition. And these things are very bright and silver. And they look as if they have almost like great white sharks engraved on them. They look like little silver medallions of that nature. And he takes them and he holds up this large arcane-like pistol that he has. And he says, I would say these fit perfectly. He says, thank you, Dauntis. And remember, nothing is to harm Oma or Medelia. When this goes on, you do what you have to do. He goes, it's agreed. It's not even a problem. And he goes, you think the big lug can swim to shore? He looks over towards Dahan, and he gets kind of a sad look across his face. He says, let's hope so, Dauntis. Let's hope so. If it comes to that. Right? Aye, Captain, right. And that's the conversation you overhear. Okay? So, moving upwards and onwards, I will say that Silouan and Tamara and Caliban come out of the main gateway. Caliban first pushes both the doors open and stops and gives Yakon Ru a greeting. with the two fists drawn like this and gives the bow like Hunter usually does with that character. And says to him, and the next time I climb these steps, hopefully we can do some training together. I assume I'm welcome next time. Yakonru takes a big inhale, looks at him, and kind of exhales and gives him a slow nod like that. As he turns and he goes over and he looks at that ladder he's going to have to climb up to get on that ship, and he just kind of looks discouraged about it. Thought this would be easier. And he gets a hold of the rope ladder and starts, and as he starts climbing up, you can see the ship kind of he's trying to climb up the side of this ladder, getting up to the top. You're up there, Sade, and you're kind of, well, okay, that must be Caliban, all right. With that, Silouan and Tamara make Silouan and Tamara were there. Valdera was already on the ship, so those two are joining now. Thank you. Edits. So, Valdera reaches down over top of the ship and gives a last hand to Tamara as they're climbing up on board. Things that you've noticed about Valdera while you were on the ship, Sade. She is intentionally trying to be all business. Okay? And there's a couple times where she's looking around, and when she's looking over a railing on their way up there, you kind of can't help but look out at her. And you could swear you saw a tear in her eye that she was hiding from everybody else. She's out on the railing, and she's looking out, and that one, she has hair only grows on one side of her head. She's shaved with scars here. And she's looking out over the railing and stuff like that, and the wind's blowing up here pretty hard. And you see her look over her shoulder for a long moment. She's looking at Oma. And she's looking at Medelia. And she's seeing the friendship that the two have. And how close they are. And then that's when you see the tear run down her cheek. Then she turns around and kind of sniffs and wipes it when no one's looking. And then she turns around and starts giving Dahan shit. It's like, are we ready yet, or what's going on here exactly? I know you think you've got it, but we need to be prepared for all kinds of things. And the two bicker between each other for dominance over getting things ready. There's something haunting Valdera that's bugging her. Okay? Let's go ahead and say that all the boarding takes place, and that the ship...
as bass boards.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dahan, I need you to actually play bass.
Gotcha.
So Dahan corners him and he says, "Hey, if you have something outside of what happens on the ship, you let me or Ao know. Not like last time."
Puts his hands on his chin like this and has another one on his hip. He goes, I would have other words for you, Dahan, if you didn't show me the smallest semblance of concern in what you just said. He goes, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll continue to care about the people on this ship, as I always have, and the danger that they walk in, because I know my shadow's outreaching. And maybe you acknowledge that I do have these concerns for everybody next time. And then if you could start doing that, maybe I'd let you in on my little group. He says, can we at least agree on that? Because I don't know if you've paid attention to me over the last, I don't know, several months that I've been here. But how many times have I turned a blade on you or anyone else on this ship that you give a damn about? How many times has that happened?
Dahan passes him his bottle of liquor.
Okay. He looks at it and doesn't lose eyes with Dahan. He takes it and holds it to the side and swigs it like he's done this before. He keeps eyes locked with you. And he tilts it back down. Takes a deep breath as the fumes begin to burn through his nose. He never loses eye contact with you. And he says, even sun webs need to be broken down. Even some webs only last a day. And I've already caught what I've planned on catching. You hear me?
Dahan nods and actually reaches for it, takes a swig, not breaking eye contact, and he says, "Welcome aboard."
It's a pleasure to be welcomed, Dahan. He backs away. And then turns a shoulder with that thrown over his shoulder, that side of that cloak. And then walks back in towards the ship and helps move around doing some loading and things of that nature. Does that work for you?
Yeah, Dahan immediately turns and starts giving orders to shipmates, you know.
Okay. So we'll say at this moment, everybody's there, and I'm going to give the Aeolus speech. Okay? Once everybody is settled on the ship, before they all go up and take off, he sarcastically walks up to the group, and Dahan goes over and stands at his side. As Dahan holds that large glass flask over there, Aeolus takes his pistol and taps on it, almost like he's wanting to give a toast at a wedding. Okay? As he's hitting against the glass, he goes, "Attention! Everyone, you lovely lost souls, all of you. Attention, please. Welcome, officially, to the Lilung." And he gives a long, deep bow. That is practiced and etiquette accurate. Okay? He goes, "For those of you that have been here before, and I know many of you have, we're hoping for a smooth sail on this occasion. I am in no way obligated to help you slay creatures, defeat monsters, take whatever bounty you would wish to with that ridiculously oversized sword that you have, Valdera, and do all the things that you all wish to do on this hot, humid, dangerous island. That is your decision. But what I can assure you is that you have the finest crew New Gemdar has to offer you. And we will get you there safely, and we will get you or your bodies back safely as well." He goes, "If anyone need anything of me, please see Dahan, because that is his job, and I have other things to attend to." As Dahan kind of begrudgingly would look up, like I'm saying, right? He says with that, he says, "Do not think that I wish to abandon you on this adventure, but, well, you have to understand, if creatures do decide to try to attack us, I have a ship to sail. I leave our fate in your capable hands." He says, "Good luck to everyone. I'm sure I'll be seeing you shortly. We have at least a 2 days trip to get to where we're headed. We will have to take a wide swath around Thornwood, as even the skies above it have begun to grow too poisonous for us to fly over." And he goes, "And when we begin to approach, we should be getting there early morning on the first morning of the 3rd day." He goes, "Feel free to spend money, gamble, drink, but pay for what you swallow. Help out in any way you can, and don't ask ridiculous questions. We're not here to sell you our information. We're here to sell you a service. And we've been paid," and he looks over at Ohm and winks, "very, very well to do so. Let's get this thing in the sky." And he smiles and gives Dahan a big smack on the back. And you would know that is when you need to start shouting out the shit and things need to get going. Okay?
Yeah, immediately Dahan starts pointing, yelling.
Okay. Awesome. With that, Dauntis climbs up in the central crow nest of the ship, and he pulls out a long spectacle. And then he starts looking up ahead, and he's yelling about the weather and things like that down the ship. The ship goes over and picks up in Brahmas. This is the first time you've seen a large lodestar. Aeolus walks over. He goes, "There are my ladies." He's got Medelia on one side of him. He's got Oma on the other side of him. They do not leave his fucking side for anything. A large rune begins to glow up on the floor and starts to spin as he holds up this thing. And the only way I can describe a lodestar is it looks like something from a steampunk era. It is finely crafted like mahogany type woods in a circular form. Okay? That seems to hold within it a crystal ball. On the sides of this wooden spear seem to be very antique, almost like bronze handles that come over with fine leather wrappings around them and runes etched into these bronze parts. It almost looks like an antique boat steering wheel of some kind, like you'd see on a boat. It has a very hourglass-like shape to it with that central piece. Inside of the crystal ball seem to be elements. It almost looks like a small storm of air and water and things swashing around in this thing in an ever-giving circle. As when he holds the lodestar and it comes into his hands, he looks over at Medelia and gives her a wink. And as he picks up on the lodestar, the ship begins to rise. It's almost as if the ship mimics the movements that he is creating with this device. It is fascinating to watch. Okay? With that, is there any interaction or anything anyone would like to have before I go ahead and move us forward?
Sade will call out Isadora and just have Isadora perched up on the crow's nest as well. And seeing the contraption that's being used, Sade tries to at least sketch out as much detail as she can about the controlling mechanism for the ship.
Okay, just roll me a 1d20.
Is Sade like invisible to us now, or?
Yeah, she stepped out. She's on the deck of the ship. Another natural 20.
You fuck. You guys are awesome. No, I'm happy. I'm glad. You are starting to understand quite a bit. And after listening to Medelia and seeing the kind of things that you do, you are gathering that Medelia is not only a buffing support type mage, but she's also an elementalist. And she seems to be what is containing and controlling this circle that makes the lodestar possible to function. Either that, or she was responsible in some part for setting it up to begin with. Whether she's concentrating on it or not, you're not sure. But you could draw, and you remember, Big Gun Dabble Duns sells some of these, only they're not this nice and they don't have elements in them. Okay? What were you going to say, Danny?
If Bass would probably notice that she's there and then just walk past her and actually put his hand on the mast where Drayden missed him that time when the chains were on him.
Say it again. Make sure I understand.
He walks past where she's standing there taking notes, walks past her to the center mast. Remember when Drayden had the issue and he was chained and he came back crazy?
Yeah.
And he missed Bass by like that much, but raked out a bunch of the mast.
Yeah, yeah.
Hand on that. Because it was right after that he had his first communion with his deity.
That's true. Now I want you guys to understand, everybody that's on the ship, and if you want to write this down, you can. If not, I have it written down. Drayden is on the ship. He came with Bastille on this adventure. He is there. Brahmas is on the ship. And there's a lot of characters to keep track of. I didn't do your introduction of you climbing up the ladder and tilting the ship even more than Caliban did, but we can only imagine how you would have got up there. Sade is on the ship now, obviously. Dauntis, Medelia, Oma, Aeolus, Tamara, Silouan, Valdera are all on the ship. This is a cast of fucking people that are on this thing going on this adventure. Okay? So, as we take off early in the morning, it is chilled in the air, to the point that anyone that wants to stay up on deck for any decent length of time will have to roll Constitution saving throws to not take levels of exhaustion or get super cold. Now, Dahan is adapted to this and has large furs on from his traditional place, as does Oma. Okay? Medelia and Aeolus seem to be taking shifts where Aeolus will go below deck and take care of some different things. When Aeolus goes below deck, either Dauntis or Daihon take the steering wheel. Okay? As far as the ballistas and the arcane cannon, there are, I think, 4 or 5 ballistas, very nice ones. And there are some barrels of some of this blast powder and stuff that you had talked about that Bastille knows very well what it is. Okay? The ship itself is very long and elegant and has a large metallic sculpture of a Lilung, which is an Asian dragon, that stands out right on the very front of the ship. It is amazingly cool looking and detailed. Okay, the ship has an Oriental flavor to it, old school Oriental flavor. You have to almost imagine that's where Aeolus Lunari is from originally. Okay. With that, is there anything anyone would like to, anything anybody would like to go and investigate as the morning goes by and we are sailing off in the direction of the Crescent Cradle? Pretty good.
Sade is just gonna spend time just walking throughout the ship where she's allowed to go, and possibly places where she's not allowed to go, and just continue filling out her notebook.
Okay. As you're doing this, Bastille, you have been around Sade on a couple different times, and have you not been around her at all?
No, he's never met her.
This might be a good time to introduce yourself. You find her very crafty and very roguelike amongst these people here that seems to have some kind of experience to him. Sade appears to be male at this point, I believe. Okay,
Yep.
Finally chiseled to the point where you believe this is male, but he has several feminine qualities about him just because he wears a certain kind of makeup on the face and moves around with a certain kind of elegance. Okay, he's peculiar.
Just because of what Bass does, with his previous training before, I'm
Yeah.
going to do a perception check to see if I think he's disguised. Perception 28.
Okay. You don't see this being looking uncomfortable in its own skin. But there's something off. There is a alien-esque quality about the way that this Sade, and you've heard this name, you've heard the other people talk about this individual, how it perceives, how it's learning, how it does things. It's almost like it's walking, like it is performing poetry with its movements, and nothing, not anybody, is that perfect in things all the time. It's almost like when he moves around, it's almost like practiced steps. You can't quite place what it is, though. Does this person have some kind of artistic ability or fighting skill that is beyond something you've understood or seen? Or does this person have some kind of mental issue where they have to count their steps and have to do things a precise way, compulsive, obsessive? There's something off, but you can't put your finger on it.
Walks up and he says, "That is perfection. So perfect that he's looking at you going, it is so perfect that the perfection is the only problem I see with it."
Could you describe yourself to Sean, please?
So you're seeing a actually, I think, because we keep calling him a veiled elf, but he came from a high elf. So that's a veiled elf when we change it?
Yeah, you consider yourself a veiled elf because you don't live by high elf traditions anymore. You're not
Right.
genetically one, but you're classified as one now.
So you see, have you watch, oh shit, what is the name of it? Last Kingdom.
No.
Oh gosh. Well, anyway, the
Wing and
main
a miss.
you're seeing that guy. Dark hair, long. It's braided back right now.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I just haven't seen the show.
Yeah, no beard. Elven ears. 5'6", like 170 pounds, maybe 160 pounds. You know, skinny. Looks really, really lithe in his movements. And very, very observant. Like you notice that because of what you are, you notice how much he moves around, how much he's watching everything. And when he comes up to you, you know, like even not trying to be stealthy, you would notice that he's still missing the boards that creak without trying.
Right. Sade would like to do a eye for detail insight check.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Not bad. It's not a natural 20, so.
I was like,
But
hey,
it's
give us
pretty
a
darn
break.
Close. But it's pretty darn close.
Okay.
So that would be a total of 25.
Sade can see your soul. What do you wish to tell Sade about your life, Bastille?
Just so
That's too good.
If you had observed, actually, if you had observed a lot of elves, you would notice he doesn't seem as elven as he should.
as Sade is looking him over, his eyes turn to kind of reflect Bast's eyes as gives him the once over, and then switches back to Sade's eyes.
For a minute, you were staring at your own eyes for just an instant. And what is it you do at that point with that knowledge?
He looks
Huh? Is a good answer.
flipping the devil sight, or sorry, angelic sight for him, but
Yeah.
pops in. Runes pop over in place of his pupils, and I'll look at him again to look through the darkness that might be around to see what I see.
Okay, so when you do that, now he's pulling off a little trick of his own, and he has these angelic runes that replace where his pupils are as they glow a radiant white ever so subtly. This is a new trick, Sade.
Sade will copy the look of his eyes.
Perfectly, by the way.
Wow.
I love this. Brahmas, you look over and you see these two just staring at each other, but you can't see why. They're just like, they're just like.
He strokes his chin and he says, "Can you write it?
I'm sorry?
Can you write that down?"
Okay. Sade pulls out her notebook and jots down.
When you do try to write this down, I need you to do a charisma check for me, please.
Just straight charisma?
Uh-huh.
So that'll be a total of 12.
Even though you just looked at the runes and the shape of them, when you go to write them down, you make one mark and you can't remember what they look like. It is not normal for someone that has the ledgering ability that you do and the artistic ability, the precise notes that you take. And I don't know how you would play this. I'll let you kind of role play this through, but you can't remember. You remember what you wanted to write down, the thing you saw in his eyes, the mark, the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea what it looked like. You remember the colors.
Yeah.
You don't
It's just
know
going
the
to be
shape.
like annotated in like her own version of Beast Can't, just ruined eyes question mark.
Danny, roll a perception check to see if you can see this that is being written down. Are you concealed? Are you like this with the book? Or
No, it's more like she just she'll observe and then pull out a notebook, and without actually looking at a notebook, she'll just be writing.
18.
Sade is writing down way more than what you had in your eyes.
It's unfortunate.
Interesting. Brahmas, as you are there, where would you like to be positioned at on the ship? You do not feel the cold as much, but this is just awe-inspiring for you. The fact that you are in something that is more advanced than what most people know and more ancient at the same time. But this also, you've never been up in something like this before, and this is amazing. It makes you wonder if people are starting to catch up to get to be as advanced as the folks that made this for you. What is it you're doing? Where would you like to be positioned on the ship?
I would think, given that he's never been on a ship this large,
Yeah, and
that
moving like this,
would,
this thing's
he
moving.
would be outside, kind of just peering out, looking back over what he can see of it, and just kind of looking at the surroundings.
As you do, Dahan, go have an interaction with him.
Dahan
Please.
walks over.
Get over there!
What is it you're looking for?
The words to describe how awe-inspiring this ship is.
Well, it turns out if we go higher, we can't breathe.
Speak for yourself, my friend.
It's a
I
good
can
point.
breathe just fine.
But right where we are, we catch good winds. We're just above most of the storms. But if you look out there, you'll see those storms, and he points off in the distance. We'll give those a wide berth because we can't top them without losing our air.
Promise to be looking out in that direction pretty intently.
So now, Medallia can do a trick that allows us to breathe for a little bit. It's a modification of a water breathing spell. She actually fills a globe with water around the ship and then makes us with water. It's crazy. But she can't hold it long, so we can't stay that high very often. No other ship has that, just us.
This is an impressive feat of engineering.
That's not engineering. That is raw talent.
Nice. As you guys continue to sail for a while, you're reaching the edge of Thornwood. For those of you that have not been around or heard much about Thornwood, you know that there is a rot that is taking over the southern lands just straight south of New Gemdar, past the long sentinel trees of Hamelsbyre, which is where the druids keep those trees, and they're actually almost like living versions of trees that make a sentinel wall. They keep that poisonous growth from moving up into the mainlands of the continent. And the coverage over top of it, the darkening clouds, the sky that always looks like there's a storm boiling and brewing within it, the lightning that strikes out there, but not always just the bright lightning, but the red heat lightning, the different swirls and the sounds that the sky makes over top of this area. This place just makes you take pause, Promise, and look out into it, and you can't help but feel sorrow.
Bast would actually make his way to Brahmas and tell him that is one of the places we have to go if we join those two.
Do you know what he's talking about, Jeremy? Give him a brief description of what you're.
So there's an angel and a demon that we found out need to be joined, and one of them it's actually an angel that's there, an issue that's causing the rot, and then also there's another quest that Bast had originally been contracted for, which is long past. But which Bass doesn't even know that's the same location yet. He's putting it together yet. But there is between the two of them, that's where you find the remains of what is that angel and that demon that have to be combined.
So roll a history check for me, Merc. You have heard Vander telling Ember this story of why the woods are cursed, and I'll give you a brief overview of it, then we'll move forward. What happened was, it is said that angels and demons have an eternal job to do, and you know this tale very well, that they're the ambassadors of different territories on the surface of the world, of Ulran. And when a person dies, it is their job to make sure that there is a place for their soul to go, because angels and demons originally were corrupted because they didn't have such a place. They just quantified and went into other beings like their own, which made them more powerful, and then corruption ensued. It is the angel and demon's place to create realms for people to have rest, so this corruption never happens again. Almost like different planes, eternal safe havens for the soul to be free and depending on the battle or the judgment that you have from particular angels and demons upon your demise. Okay? That's the kind of spin on it. It is said that a warrior man that was desperate and filled with hate, okay, ripped a demon from its duty to cause destruction on Ulran, on the mortal world, which broke several different rules. First off, angels and demons are never to step foot on here again. In this age of dreams, they are not allowed to touch a paintbrush. They are only there to help conduct. Also, what happened is when that demon was taken away from these lands, it wasn't there to give people their final conflict. So all the people that died in that area where this demon was ripped from are now eternally stirring, hoping for the absolution and the finality of their death. And they're not being granted it. They are becoming angry, stirring, becoming restless, becoming twisted and wicked. They are surrounding around where the body of this said demon is. And it is fabled that the demon rests in a deep tomb deep inside of Thornwood. Okay? And that this rot wasn't always like this. That this corruption not only spread, twisting the trees in the sky around it, because all these souls keep flocking to it, wanting that absolution, wanting to move on to that next plane, but they're trapped here. And they're becoming wicked and cruel. Okay? But even further than that, the original veiled elves, or what we would call wood elves, lived there in this place. And they said they would house the body of the demon until it actually woke up from the coma-like sleep it was in. And the evil started to change them too. And because the wood elves refused to move away from this area, that corruption also seeped into them, and they are now known as merc elves. Wicked, nasty elven-like humanoid creatures. They dwell in that place too, and just remembering these tales and being able to look out over it and see it for the first time with your own eyes, you just feel sorrow for this place, for the land, for the people that stayed there and refused to leave their home and went through this change. A nasty place. It is a growing wound on the world. Okay? That is the history that you know of it. Okay? Does that conversation want to continue, or no? Okay. So with that, it is 9:30. Would you guys want to continue on for a little bit, or do you need to hop off here?
Good for a bit.
Okay, cool. Jeremy, you good?
Yeah, I can hang for a few more minutes.
Okay. So, as you guys are getting around 2-3 o'clock that afternoon, and you are flying around just outside a safe distance away from Thornwood, going around the coastal line, you're starting to smell the first parts of the ocean. And although it is cold this time of year, you can almost go down, and Aeolus tells everyone, he goes to hang on. He says, I want to clean the senses a little bit and show you what we're made of. As he takes the ship down into a dive, people have to hold on as you almost stir a little bit on the front of the ship as it dives down and turns sideways just a touch, and it goes close to the ocean. You see the large crashing waves of the southern sea. Okay? Just outside the waters of what would be called the Bay of Hope. Alright? And as you go around that, it actually kicks up water from the actual ocean floor. And at that moment, Sade, I want you to roll me a perception check.
Not bad, 17.
Okay. As they go just out past the edges of Thornwood, and you reach out and you can see past the darkening skies that hover above it, as he goes out around the edge of the Bay of Hope, you see something that takes your breath away. Bastille, you were thinking about looking for this before. Off in the distance in the Bay of Hope, just reaching the eastern shoreline of it, is something that should not and could not possibly be there. The best way to describe this, and you've heard the rumors, is that a Titan has risen up from the Bay of Hope and is working its way east across the landscape at a very, very slow rate of movement. And the only way I can describe this to you is if a mountain had been taken over by an earth elemental and was moving in a semi-held together humanoid form and is walking across the land of greater than gargantuan size. It is a moving humanoid shape of an earth elemental mountain with trees, waterfalls, clouds that go around it, flocks of birds. Off in the distance, it throws a shadow that just makes your lip quiver. And it seems to have one leg still left in the Bay of Hope. It moves so slowly that you can't even tell if it's even moving or not. And the whole ship gets quiet as you hear whispers like, "Come look, I can't, that's it. Come look."
As Sade looks out at the Titan, like saying before, for those who do notice or who want, her hair kind of like, Sade's hair kind of flickers between yellows and oranges in a kind of playful, like almost with a little bit of wonderment and excitement in seeing this.
Okay. What's your reaction to this promise? Danny, do you have a reaction to this at all? This is the first time you've seen it.
Looks out at it.
Drayden walks up beside you, and his hands are on the railing. His nails are clinging into the bronze railing just around the edge. And he says, "What have we got ourselves into?"
Ask for another day. And maybe 2 tests down the road, just maybe, I can fix it before it starts.
He cracks his neck and looks at it and he goes, "Maybe that's why I've been practicing climbing the steps so often."
He looks over at him and he says,
He grins.
He said, if you knew it might cost you everything, but you could change a moment in the past, would you?
He looks at you for a long moment, trying to ponder what it is you're actually asking him. And as he goes to open his mouth and answer, you hear a loud shout from the top crow nest of the ship. It's Dauntis. He yells out, "Aeolus! Hey, damn it, you're too close, look!" And as he points out the spectacle out to that direction, Sade, you're hearing this. What are you doing?
Sade immediately snaps out of the daze and starts looking around and seeing what's going on.
Okay. As you do, Aeolus looks over and says, "Shit." And he grabs onto the lodestar. He says, "Medelia, a little help, please, maybe?" and he starts turning the thing like this. And as we start banking off to the side, he catches a large wave of water that shoots over to the sides. And he says, "We need to get over above the land." I didn't think we'd be harming anything getting this close, but obviously things have changed here. He says like that. Oma walks over to the side, and you see her put her hand over the side of the ship, and she closes her eyes, and she starts singing a song, Dahon, and as that happens, that red bird erupts from her shoulder and goes up into the sky, and she goes, "There are several of them, and they are close, Aeolus. They're so very close." She loses her mind for herself for just a minute in it as she's looking through the eyes of the creature. You've seen her do this before, Dahon. Dahon, what is it that you're doing? You know that Dauntis has seen something coming inbound from the ship. We've got too close to something. Roll me a insight check, please.
There, Mariah.
What's that?
It would be a 17.
Okay, with a 17, you know there were the danger of different creatures that have become restless in Thornwood ever since the Titan stepped out of the Bay of Hope. And there are also creatures that seem to flock and swarm around the Titan. It's almost like you have to imagine like jets on an airship carrier. You know, if something comes too close to it, they go out to see what the fuck's going on. And that's one of the hazards here, but we can't quite see what it is yet. The clouds are still too thick down around that edge off of Thornwood, and he is banking back, trying to go back over top of some of the land. This would be a stretch of land between No Jill and New Gemdar that you're going, which is just south of the Avian Mountains. You are in that little stretch of ground now as he's trying to bank back in so he doesn't end up being over top the ocean when whatever approaches. Okay? Dahon, what are you doing?
Gnome, get up there to the gun.
Who are you speaking to?
The gnome he hired. He's getting him ready so that then he would yell to actually he would yell to Dauntis, "Man your post, Bast, take the crow's nest."
What's Bastille's response to this?
He nods and actually heads up.
Okay. So, gentlemen, with
Before,
yeah.
You said Bast is the one, or Bast is the one going up to the crow's nest?
That's what he said. Yeah, Dauntis is up there now.
Okay.
And he's up there seeing things. And Sade, I think you're originally up in the other one, but then you had came down, correct?
No, I had sent Isadora up there.
Okay, so
so they can, if it's possible, shadow step up there and bring out her crossbow.
Outstanding. Okay, so I'll say you're on the one on the far side on the ship, and Dauntis is the one centrally in the middle. Brahmas, what were you doing, sir? What were you asking?
What
He
would you
shadow steps. She would actually see a glowing dagger land there right before I landed there.
Oh, you'd be laying in a different one. Danny, you're climbing up the one that Dauntis was in.
Okay.
Sade is going up another one. There's 2 crow nests. There's 3 on the ship. You guys are occupying 2 of them. Brahmas, go ahead.
what type of damage would you say covers water?
What type of damage covers water?
Like if I was to do a protection from a damage type.
I'd have to say it'd be ice cold or something like that, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. So I would, right, because Brahma's seeing Bast getting ready to take the fuck off.
Yeah.
He's going to put a hand on his shoulder. Be safe, my friend. And when he does that, he's going to cast protection from energy for cold.
Okay. That makes sense. Awesome. Good job, Danny. Write that down. Okay. With that, guys.
That's concentration for up to an hour. So.
Oh, hell yeah. Good call. Okay. With that, as the wake clears down and he starts to pull back over top of the land, from around the clouds poke through several different large monstrous bird-like creatures that seem to be coming in a flock. They're far off enough now where you can just see the silhouette of them in black, but there's some creatures off in the distance that are approaching the ship. Let me go ahead and pull up the map and show you what this looks like. Can you guys hear the music?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So then, get this going here. Are you guys able to see the map okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Is the music too loud or is it good for you?
Perfect.
Awesome. All right, so here's how we have this lined up. It's got a rain coming down, and as I said, it's foggy around the airship right now. By the way, I love this fucking map. This thing is beautiful. This is the one I created from scratch. Sade is up in the crow's nest on the far left side of the ship. Tamara being down below her, just over top of some of these grates. Valdera is positioned opposite of Tamara, as the two are standing strong right here on the front of the ship. Silowin is positioned in between the two of them. Up in the central crow's nest, Dauntis was there, but now I need to make that move for you. So as Dauntis is descending, and let me go ahead and do that. That's not going to be a quick thing. He is a dwarf. He's going to try to go down and slide down this rope right here, guys. He's going to take that telescope. He's going to wrap around the top of it and try to do the freaking hero slide. Dave, just for the hell of it, roll me a dexterity check for Dauntis. Let's see how good this is.
10.
A 10?
Yeah. Any bonuses?
Yeah, 1d4.
Aha! 14.
Okay, shoo. It's like, fuck, there goes the bombardier. Well, that was fun. What is that movie where the two jump off the roof right at the beginning of it? The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. What is? It's the one of Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg where they do the office pop. Right at the beginning of the movie, the two like jump for the bushes, and they just bail. But anyway, yeah, he's headed down. Let's go ahead and do that. Dauntis jumps on. Yeah, baby. He's going down and he's going to land, let's say, right here at the base of this. All right? Now, Bastille, you, my friend, find your way up to the top of the crow's nest. Bam, after you've thrown a dagger up there and successfully land in that direction. Okay, let's talk about some other people. Over here on the side, we have Aeolus. Cloud coverage is over top of you guys. That's why it's a little foggy to see him. You have Medelia over here. Below that, Dahon and Oma in the back. This is the circle that the lodestar is in. You'll see the ballistas. These ballistas back here are somewhat grayed out because they are under the sail, so I've made them somewhat transparent. But the important one is up here in the front. This is one of the arcane cannons that we have mounted on the front of the ship. Alright? So it's also somewhat transparent because it's underneath the sail. At this point, Miasha runs out from underneath of the cabin's quarters. She is on the ship as well. She's been below decks. Alright, let me go ahead and move that around here just a minute. Where are you, Miasha? There she is. I need to put her over here by Silowin, as this is the main entrance into one of the lower deck parts right here underneath of this ledge. That makes sense, everybody?
Just curious, because Dahon had yelled for Dauntis to actually go to the cannon.
Well, he just now slid down the rope. Now he's got to run across there to get to it.
Dumbass dwarf.
Well, he's up here trying to see stuff. Okay, Caliban would just be standing centrally in the ship right there. Merc, you were over here beside Bastille talking about things, correct? So do you like the location that you're in?
Yeah, as long as I can tell that that's a direction that the whatever's coming at us is coming from.
It is. It's coming from this direction up here. And just for side notes, so I can show you guys the full scale of what's going on here, you've got the shadow of the ship going over top of what is ground now that you've just breaking in from the coast. And over to the side, 3D images of the ship and what it looks like from all sides. You have a lower deck here with a railing along the sides, safety ropes to grab onto. You can see the actual structures of the decks and where the steps are. So if you need to interact with this thing, we can always move over to the 3D map and show you exactly where you are and what you need to be doing. Okay? I have a couple more shots of it. This is a shot of the terrain below us. And then this is another view of the ship. Okay? And with that, we're going to go ahead and go back over to the main one. If you need to see this for any kind of details during the combat, just tell me and I can shift right back over to it, no problem. Okay? So, is everybody happy with where they are at the current moment?
Yep.
Awesome. And with that, something breaks through the clouds and comes into view. Several different large birds. These are large size mostly. These ones here are just medium to large. They have antlers and fiendish like almost like evil deer-like heads. I'll have you all do history checks in a minute to see if you've heard of these things. There are two coming on the front of the ship, one along the side that Brahmas is on, facing him. There are two coming on the lower side of the ship, but there seems to be one central one that seems to be calling out and making these echoing, shrieking sounds. It is brighter and larger than the others, and it is coming on this side of the ship with its talons out. Okay? Silouan reacts to this before everybody else. And she says to you, she goes, "I know these creatures." She goes, "Fear the shadows." She says desperately as she grabs her spear and starts running to the side of the ship, hopefully trying to get a jump on one of these. I'll give everybody one turn to react in some kind of way, then we're going to roll initiative. Now I'm going to say that Daniel, you've already taken yours. I've already gave you your free action for teleporting up to the crow's nest, and Dauntis slid down, that's his. Okay? So let's go ahead and move it on around. Sean, what is Sade doing on her turn? Would you like me to go ahead and get Isadora out for you?
No. Well, she's gonna pull out Twisted Fate, Duncan, her crossbow, which she named Duncan,
Okay.
and load in Savage Bolt and just get it ready for.
Okay, so I'll give you a held action, and what is the trigger for your action?
The first creature that comes into range, if they engage us.
Okay, you're hearing the louder shrieks from the one that's over this way. It's about 30 foot up from you, and probably about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 foot off that side of the ship. This seems to be the big bad here that's moving in, okay? And then you have the other ones over here that are attacking the ass end of the ship. All right?
Yeah.
So, we'll make that what you're doing. Okay. Brahmas. Merc, what are you up to, buddy? What are you thinking?
Have we determined that Brahmas swings his greatsword with one hand?
You can, but you only do half of the bonus from strength to it when you do it that way.
Okay. Is there a sizable length of rope nearby that's attached to the ship?
Yes. You
He's
have
going to
this one here that's connected up high to the sail.
well, loose rope that's attached. That's either laying around that I can tie to the side of the ship, or something that's already tied and just coiled.
Roll a perception check.
would be a 16.
There is. It's about 10 foot from you. I'm going to say it's in this direction right over here. It's underneath the shadow of one of these. That's about 30 foot up above you, and its shadow is now fallen on top of the deck. It is about right over here beneath where that would be.
I'm going to say he's going to get as close as he can to that rope without going into the shadow, just because what he heard Silwan say.
Okay.
And it's going to be specifically with the aim of grabbing the rope, tying it around one of his hands. That way he's still got the freedom to swing, but he's got the rope attached to himself as it's attached to the ship.
Okay, do me a dexterity check, just see how well you pull this off.
Dirty 20.
Okay, you're able to do that successfully. You're able to tie it around left or right.
He's going to tie it to the right.
Okay. You look at the rope. It is more than likely going to hold you, but you're a large thing. But you're thinking quick and doing what you've got to do here. Is there anything else? That's pretty much your free turn, okay?
Yep, that's it. As long as he is secured to the ship by that rope,
How high
he's
are
got
we?
plans.
How high are we? Danny, we are about, if the trees were tall, we are an equal amount up from the treetops.
Okay, so we're a couple 100 feet up.
Yes.
I was hoping for thousands.
We are not, because he was on the ocean kicking up the wake for that moment. Then when he saw these, he reared back and started to climb as he went up above the wood line. Now he's going back inland over top of that long stretch of land down there just south of the avian city.
Yep, that makes things a little more difficult.
It
Sorry.
most certainly does. So, with that, does anyone have anything they would like to have Silwan do on her turn, her free turn here? Jeremy, what are you thinking? What do you think Silwan would want to do? She seems to, you know, that there is a legend about these creatures, and that they are cursed because there was a woman that was burned at a stake. And when she fell, this was a witch, like an evil woman. And when she fell, there was said that these crows pecked at her flesh and ate her remains. And those crows were damned with the soul of the witch woman and turned into these creatures. These are called, I think it's, how do I pronounce it? Perytons, P-E-R-Y-T-O-N. These are right out of the Monsters Manual. And they are ugly.
Yep, they're a little bit terrifying.
Silwan knows that their shadows look humanoid, like that witch woman, but their bodies are as you see them now. And Silwan's looking on the deck of the ship, and I need you to roll a charisma saving throw for fear, because you know the tales of these things.
That's not too bad. That's a 17.
Okay, you got a natural 17?
Natural 13.
Okay, but 17. Okay, you're good. You're able to swallow back and fight past the fear as Tamara puts her hand on your shoulder and says, "We're here to do a job. Don't let it get in your head. Now go." Okay? What would you like to do on your free action here?
Hey, honestly, being her, she's probably going to go towards the cannon and just wait for it to come closer.
Okay, so I'm going to say you got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. I'm going to say you're close, and I can see her going, "I don't know how to do this. I'm just going to point and shoot, right?" She kind of yells because she has no idea what's going on with this arcane cannon. With that, you hear Dauntis yelling at her. It's like, "I'm on my way. Just give me just a moment. God damn it." And he's trying to make his way waddle across there as quick as he can. With just barely passing the dex check, he hit the ground pretty hard and tumbled. So as he's running, he's trying to fix his vest and pull his pants up, and he's got like this little arquebus on his side, and he's just shit getting it trying to get across the deck of the ship, Jeremy. With that, Tamara, after giving those encouraging words to Selwyn, what would you like for her to do as her readying action here, Sean?
Oh shoot! I was hoping I'd get her.
Nope, you've got Dahan and you. He's got Tamara. Unless you guys want to swap.
She is going to cast. Does she have bless?
So for you, she's been on the ship before, and
Yeah.
she knows that because I got it wrote down, they actually have some special ballista bolts. Are made with blast powder. Just to give
Yeah.
you a heads up.
If you wanted to load those, you can start that process or do whatever. And if you want her to have bless, we can give her bless.
I don't think she has it.
Okay.
So that's fine. She's going to cast Beacon of Hope.
Okay, and explain to me what that does so I can make the effect for it.
So okay. Sorry.
I mean, it's fine. Actually, I might have it right here. Let me see. Beacon of Hope. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
The spell bestows hope and vitality. Choose any number of creatures within range, and the range is 30 foot around her. For the duration, each target has advantage on wisdom saving throws and death saving throws, and regains the maximum number of hit points possible from any healing. And that's concentration of 1 minute. So I'm going to write a little note down here that you're doing that, and you should do it as well. Okay? Beacon of Hope. Where are we at here? Tamara. Beacon of Hope. Okay, now we get to do fun stuff. So 30 foot. So that's going to hit damn near everybody you've got around you.
Mm-hmm.
That is nice. Okay, so let me go ahead and do something here with the map. Where'd it go? Oh, you pain in my ass. Where'd it go? Here we go. Grid. Look at that. We got a little grid in here if we need it. So now let's do the effect. Okay, so we have the gang. We have Tamara. Let's go ahead and do the spell effect on the map. Okay, let's go ahead and do, where's that here? Add a new file. Only take a second here. We'll say spells. Enter. And now let's go ahead and make it. What color do you think this would be? Like a light blue or a yellow or something of that nature, Sean?
Yeah, light blue.
Okay. Okay. And we said 30 by 30? Or 15 foot out, 30 foot radius.
Yeah, 30 foot. So 30. If it's 30 foot radius, then it's 30. So it's 60 foot diameter.
Okay.
That's huge, Jungus.
All right, I'm going to center that on you. And that's going to get all of them. Okay, buddy?
That's only 15 foot.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it needs to double
radius, so it's double that.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah, that's ginormous, sir. Let's do that then. Shit. Okay, just a minute. Resize. Criminy. Okay, 5, 10. Does that make you happy? I mean, damn it. Let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 5,
That's
10,
it.
15, 20. My God, I hit that with just luck there. That was complete bullshit luck. We'll take it. And now Brian's beautiful map is blue. Thank you, Tamara. All right, so we have that. That is under the map. That is, let me see, that is spells. Got it. Okay. What else you doing? Anything, boss?
No.
Okay. And with that, I've got Valdera. I am going to go ahead and cast Herald's Vigor on myself. And I am going to do the damage and have the strength of a creature of large size. As Valdera slams her foot onto the ground, you can hear her wrenching into her greatsword as she pulls it up, and she stares up into the sky and cries out at this thing. It's like, come down here and play, you bastards! And let's go ahead and do Vigor. Okay. And she is going to charge up the steps to stand beside Tamara to protect her so she can keep her concentration on what she's doing. Does that sound good, Sean?
Yeah.
He's going to charge around this way and stand just to her side in front of her and the big bad and just get ready to protect you for whatever's happening so you can keep that shit up. Okay? Miyasha begins to grab her chakrams out, and she is going to run towards the side of the ship here. Let's go ahead and get that going. Okay. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, right here. Okay. And as she's doing an alluring type dance method, and everything is within visible range of her after she does a performance check could possibly have disadvantage on their attacks because their attention is drawn to the flashy things that she's doing, whether it being some kind of performance or acrobatics or things of that nature. She can do that to these creatures. Now, which will startle them. Now, with them being creatures, not humanoid, it'll be a disadvantage, but she still has that chance. Okay? Caliban is going to just march up to the front of the ship, and he walks up to Aeolus and Dahan and all you guys, Danny. He says, I'll protect you. It dare not come down here and face me on my own terms. And as he says that, Caliban is going to march up there and stand in front of Aeolus, in front of the lodestar, and have a readied action. He's going to do a Quake Fist on the first thing that comes within range of him. He's going to use a key point to throw it up to 15 foot. Okay?
Caliban worries me.
Yeah, I know.
Because this
Bedelia.
is an Earth Genasi up in the air on a ship.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this ship is going to get beat up.
There's a chance. There's a good chance. Medelia is going to cast a spell. Medelia sees the nature of these things and sees that they seem to be, these creatures are more physical than magical. And she is going to create a spell. Let me see which one I want to do here. I think it might be this one. Let me see. Yep. She casts a spell that starts some kind of layer in a cone around everyone. And it's centered right on Aeolus. And it seems to be the same one she tried to get the Dahan to punch through earlier. Okay? So on the ship, hoping to slow down and protect from physical attacks. Alright, we're getting into it, everyone. With that, Aeolus maintains what he's doing. Oma is going, I'm going to go ahead and cast out the bird. Let me find it here real quick. Eagle, here we go. You are out, Eagle. Okay, and let's go ahead and move that bird, and she is going to go ahead and bring it up to where it is in attack range of these creatures. Okay, she's going to have it fly 30 foot straight up and be over top of them, protecting. Alright? After that, guys, is there anyone else? I got Dauntis is already run down. We've got Drayden. That's the last one. Lots of stuff to take care of. And Dahan. Dahan, go ahead and tell me what you'd like to do first.
I think Dahan, after she did that, I'm not sure. He says, will it slow them? He starts to step up light on his toes as he says that.
Okay.
Will it slow him where I can grab them? Is he stepping light up?
She looks over at you and she goes, "No sense in finding out today." She's not sure.
So then he continues the direction he's going then and forms his hands into the shape of phoenix claws and takes the stance of the sacred phoenix.
Okay, and are you staying where you're at or are you stepping out of it?
Stepping out
Which direction, Danny?
towards the beast.
Okay, so
Actually-
the beasts are coming from you every direction. Which the beast would you like to step towards, sir?
I am going to step towards the one on the rear. That
Back
way.
here?
Yep.
Okay. So you got 5, 10, 15. You're out of the circle.
I'm going to stop right there.
Okay, you're also within operating range of the ballista.
Yep.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get your phoenix up here real quick, buddy. Okay, and the spirit of the phoenix is with you. All right. And now for Drayden. Good God, a lot of people, everyone. Let's see here. Drayden, what are you going to do, buddy? He is going to run over here, and he is going to try to protect Dauntis from whatever happens to him as he's trying to help drag him along and get him to the arcane can as fast as possible. Okay? So, with that, we can go ahead. Do you want to go ahead and roll initiative now so we can jump into it next time, or how do you want to do this, guys? You want to just hold it till the next time?
Yeah, I'd say we'll hold it until the next time.
Do you say hold it till next time? Okay. I've got the initiative sheets and everything ready to rock and roll. So with that, we'll go ahead and get ready to stop recording here in just a minute. And we will do a little quick conclusion here. Just 1 second, guys. Let me save this. Now she won't go anywhere. Okay, let's go ahead and stop share. Okay. So, with that, okay, so at least now we know what the hell we're getting into, right, guys?
Yeah, so everybody needs to know our best bet is to get fucking Dauntis to that cannon because he gets advantage on the fucking rolls for that cannon.
Well, good luck with that, because now Silwyn's there and she's going to be like, a girl can do this too. Now look, it's going to be an argument. I guarantee it's going to be fantastic. And I can't wait. And Tamara's going to be like, all right, Silwyn, maybe you should move to the side. You know what I mean? But it's great to have a Lancer on here. Now, I think Silwyn can get up, what, 30 foot now?
40.
40. So she can actually jump up now, but she would only get a 10-foot drop on him if she jumped off the ship at now. So she could lance one of them potentially and bring them down to the ship. Keep that shit in mind, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'd like to work her into an ability that I come up with for mine.
Which is what?
An aerial grapple.
An aerial grapple.
Yes, you just jump up, grab a hold of him, and yank him down to the ground.
I don't know if she's beefy enough for that, sir. She's only about 125 wet.
I don't know.
All right.
You know,
She's still
I've got
a
a
little bit of
feeling that
strength
if I
behind her.
summon arrows, she could ride the fuck out of him and do some damage.
Yeah, you've got that under your wing, too. Now, what was the voice of Aeolus, the Griffin?
Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch was the voice of your Griffin. I love it, dude. And guys, when he does this shit too, he has a Griffin that is summonable. That he actually, it was like a year in the making of that whole process too. See, Bastille's been through a lot of shit. So with that, before we get into this whole bullshit session afterwards, we'll go ahead and stop our recording. Sean will come back and say his goodbyes, I'm sure. But I want to thank everyone that's watching this and enjoying it. I hope you have. Sometimes it takes a while to get there, but now we're here and shit's getting ready to get real. So hopefully, if we can get back together next Sunday and do this, we can. If not, we'll try to do something else about this, and I can talk to you guys individually and see what you want to do here in this big hot mess that we've got. Okay, so once again, I'm Brian Kynes, Danny, Jeremy, and Sean saying thanks, and we'll see you guys next Sunday. Take care.